This episode, we have Milky Diamonds. Is that his real name? No. Am I supposed to tell you his real name? No. Anyway, he's a JZX driver, currently living in Japan, and he's putting out these kind of cool compact tutorials for social media, and they're getting a lot of reach, and I feel like it's cool because he's teaching the difference between the techniques of like e-brake entry versus clutch kick entry, and kind of tracking his progress and like showing him like working on backwards entries and stuff. He literally moved to Japan to drift, and he bought a car in Japan when he was living in the UK before he even had a car in the UK, and like taught himself how to drive stick at Ebisu in the car that he bought. I found that super interesting. So check this one out. I guess I'll start it out. So I did one of those like IG things, like who should I have on? And you're like, me. And I didn't know you at all. And I was like, who's this guy? Milky Diamonds? What's that? Like,
yeah.
So I didn't initially like respond, but I followed you, and I was like, all right, like, you know, dude's in Japan, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a JZX, that's cool, you know, JZ gang. And and then I was seeing kind of like some videos pop up, and it was like, this is pretty much like the car community right now for me. If somebody who's been like around a long time, right, is like, you see people come out, and it's like, you're like, what is their like motive, right? Like, are they trying to like amass an audience? Are they like trying to be somebody? And like, for a while, it's hard to tell with like what people's kind of like goals are or whatever. But I've been watching you for like a bit now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing like the progression in driving, and like, you're definitely like a character, right? Like,
thanks.
And I think like the turning point when I was like, hey, we should do one of these, is like recently you were at Matsuri, and like it looked like you're putting like a lot of driving in, and like very focused on technique, and like, you know, you're trying to and trying to like teach people, right? Like, and I love that, you know. So that's kind of like, that's where I was like, okay, this dude, he's not just like trying to, you know, amass a thing, like he wants to share drifting with everybody, and he wants to like help people get better. And that's like the whole point of this podcast, really.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, must be time. So with that whole intro, I guess I have a few questions for you, right? Like,
hit me. I'm ready. Hit me.
How did you end up like doing Matsuris in Japan with the JZX? Like, you're from the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I think I saw that you're Ethiopian. Like, are you from UK, like with Ethiopian heritage? Are you from Ethiopia?
The first one. I'm from the UK with Ethiopian heritage. Yeah.
Sick. And so like, you just found drifting and was like, man, I need to go to Japan? Or did you go to Japan because of drifting? Like, what got you there?
Yeah, sure. I did, like, if we're just gonna get the ball rolling, I moved to Japan to do drifting. That's as, if you want a single sentence, that's what it is. I just moved here to do drifting, because to me it's just the coolest thing ever. It's the most fun thing you can do in a car, and I'm just like, this looks amazing, and where can I do this the most? Like, all I care about is driving. I just want to drive. I just want to get better, and I just want to share those experiences with people. Like, my passenger seat is always open. Like, I always have a spare helmet with me whenever I'm at the track, and I just want to take people out and just drift. And I might not always get it right. Like, I've had a few runs where, like, I think I was at the track maybe a month ago when I got my new engine put in, and I was just testing it out. And this nice Japanese man came up to me, and he was like, "Oh, are you Milky Diamonds?" I'm like, yeah, I am. And first and foremost, I'm so humbled that a Japanese person came up to me and was like, "Oh, is this you?" and show me his phone of my Instagram. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it is." And like,
How crazy is that?
Broken. Oh, bro, it's so crazy. Like, I speak just enough Japanese to get by. Like, I'm not fluent by any sense of the word. And he knew a little bit of English too, but through like the love of cars, we communicated. And he was like, "Oh, I'm your fan." And I'm like, jump in my car right now. Like, jump in right now. Like, I was like, I'm gonna warn you. Like, I'm still not 100% yet with the new engine. But jump in, let's go, let's have some runs. Took him out. It was a fun time. He sent me a message after saying thank you and like just being really polite in Japanese. And I was like, whenever you're there, just hit me up. Like I'm always happy when to take people out. Yeah, like it's just I'm here just to drive, and I just want to get better. I'm not doing it for clout or anything. I just think it's something amazing and awesome, and I just want to get better at it.
Yeah. Did you like? How'd you find it in the UK? Because I know the UK scene's like it's decent size, but it's not crazy big there. I guess like it's not really like that accessible. I think because a lot less people have cars. Like if you live in like London or
Yeah.
from what I
So
understand.
yeah, no. You're 100% right. Like so I'm from London, and like trying to own anything cool or anything with a turbo before you're the age of 25 is really difficult because
Mm,
insurance in the UK is mandatory, and insurance usually costs more than the car. So you'll buy like I don't know, like £1,000 Nissan like KA, they call them Nissan Marches in Japan,
mm,
and sorry, a Nissan Micra, and then your insurance will be like £1,500, and that's with like a black box that will monitor, like you might have a curfew, or if you go over the speed limit in a certain part, your insurer gets notified, and they'll send you like a text message or something. And there are loads of other things that make it really difficult, and like it all depends on where you live. So I live in London. That's like so expensive for having a vehicle there. Like I think I checked it one time. The price of an Evo 8, I could have. I think they were selling for like 6,000, £7,000 or so, but insurance was like 15 grand for me, and I'm like,
so you pay
yeah,
that
it's
at the
not gonna.
time of purchase of the vehicle?
Before you're allowed to drive it on the road, you have to pay the
Really?
price of the insurance. Yeah, so you can buy the car without anything and just leave it on your driveway. Um,
That's
which a lot
crazy.
of people don't have. Like, so you can't buy it and then leave it on the side of the road because then it counts as the car without insurance. Like, only some people have driveways, and I'm fortunate enough that my family don't live in Central anymore. We used to, but we moved a bit further out. Just so we had a bigger house for myself and my two little brothers. And
Yeah.
you can leave the car on the driveway, but for you to take it on the road, it has to have insurance. Like, I mean, I started coming to Ebisu and drifting before I got my driver's license.
Yeah. How
So
old are
yeah.
you?
I am the great young age of 2018, or 28 in layman's terms.
Okay. All right. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're not that far off. I'm
Yeah.
31.
Oh, yeah. You're pretty close.
Damn. So having a car in the UK is challenging. Having a
Yes.
cool car in the UK is even more challenging.
Yeah.
Like
It's just money. And then tracks aren't, the tracks are usually, I could be mistaken in this, but tracks like usually like central UK-ish. So London's like down southwest-ish. So the tracks were like 2 hours, 3 hours away, I think was the closest one. And even then, like you needed to have like your car needs to be like fully MOT'd and insured to get it to the track. And if you want to get a trailer, you need a separate license. Like you need to go through different tests to drive a car with a trailer on the back. And there's a lot of barriers to entry that make it really difficult for someone who's just starting out or just wants to get into the sport.
I
So
see.
I just thought, yeah, I'm just gonna try to go to the source and just figure it out from there.
Wow. So you're like, so did you learn how to drift in Japan? This is like this. You went to Japan to learn how to drift. Like,
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
ever drift before you went to Japan?
No, no. I didn't have a driver lessons. I had done maybe 10 lessons or 10 hours inside my instructor's learner's car, and then I just bought a 350 horsepower S14 from Power Vehicles. Then the day after my last university exam when I was 21, I caught a plane to Japan, didn't know anything to do with the language. I followed the instructions on Power Vehicles website, which was from Narita Airport, catch a train to Tokyo, from Tokyo, catch a train to Koriyama, catch a local train to Nihonmatsu, then catch a taxi up to the track. It's about 3 hours. You'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I did that. I got there, and then we went to go pick up my car, and it was like in where it was parked, it's like a very hilly area, and the Power Vehicles mechanics at the time were like, "Oh, do you know how to drive a car with a heavy clutch?" And I just looked at them real sheepishly and was like, "I don't really know how to drive a car like that. Period. Can you guys take it out for me?" So then,
Oh,
like, all I had driven was like your little Nissan Micra with like what's that,
yeah.
like a 1.2 liter soft as clutch anything. This was a 350 horsepower S14. It was basically a comp level car. Prices back then, like, oh my god, they were so good for us. Like it was like
Yeah.
350 horsepower, T518Z, cams, cage, knuckles, 4.6 diff, like
Oh
fast, like
yeah. Yeah.
fast. Um, So then the next day I taught myself how to drive manual, and Andy Gray came down and turned my boost all the way down for me, and I was like, thank you so much. Like, I was at the skid pan doing doing donuts, but they weren't really donuts. They were just me getting the car sideways and getting super excited and just burning the tires because I'm like, this is so much fun. And he came and just turned it all the way down to like the lowest boost it would go. And it's like, okay, if you can try and do donuts, then Sunega tomorrow, because I had a lesson with Team Orange with Naoto Sunega the next day.
No way.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I did that, had my lesson the next day, then for the next 12 days or 10 days, taught myself how to drift by doing the Team Orange techniques, which is the 4 techniques are do a donut from a standstill, both directions, then pull the handbrake into a cone box, into a square, both directions, then drive up to a cone, pull the handbrake, do 1 donut and exit, both directions, and then figure eights. And then
I actually haven't heard that.
Oh yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like, people have been asking me to do make beginner tutorial drift videos to help on Instagram, so I'm gonna start doing those 4 that I learned from Team Orange next. But next 2 weeks taught myself how to drift, and I caught the bug, and I tried to go back to every Matsuri twice a year, to spring and November.
How many Matsuris have you driven?
Funnily enough, my car always breaks the day before Matsuri, but literally every time it breaks on the Friday, or it'll break on the Saturday morning or something. But I think I've been to 12 Matsuris maybe, or 13, 14, I think. Before I moved here, I had been to Japan 10 times for Matsuri.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
10 times. So 10 times. So you'd flown purely just to go drift to Japan. 10 times, 10 separate occasions.
Yeah. There was, I think it was 4 times from the UK, and then I managed to meet some cool Kiwi guys at Matsuri, and they offered me a job in New Zealand doing social media. So I moved to New Zealand before moving to Japan, and I came to drift maybe 6 times while I was living there. It's a wild story.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, I decided to just take it. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just.
How long did you live in New Zealand for?
2 years.
Okay. So did you drive out there at all? Do you know anybody from New Zealand?
So I got offered the job by Genesis Massive, who are JZX Garage back in this.
They sponsored the Animal Style GP event that we went there for.
Yes. So main man Dan hooked me up, and he got me a Mark II, and that was my daily. Unfortunately, the first drift event in New Zealand, there was an accident happened, and I wrecked the car. It was a very sad time. It was in the middle of getting complied to be road legal. So then I took it out to the drift event, went drifting. Someone spun in front of me and made a massive smoke screen. So I tried to drift around it, but then at the last second, they appeared right where my car was. So I swerved to get out of the way and hit the concrete wall, and car was a write-off. But I guess I'm happy I didn't hurt someone else. So there's that silver lining. Reshelled the car, then drove around for a year with that, then had to sell it and move to Japan and got my chaser here, which I also got from Genesis Massive as well.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a wild time, man.
So how long have you been in Japan? How long now?
Just over 2 years. Moved here in 2019.
Are you living how far are you from Ebisu?
Door to door, from my front door to Ebisu Circuit front door is 2 hours, and I've timed it.
Okay. Are you living in Tokyo, or are you?
I'm in Utsunomiya, which is right next to Nikko Circuit. So Nikko Circuit is 20 minutes down the road for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Do you drive Nikko often?
I've only driven Nikko once because my car lives at Ebisu Circuit with power vehicles.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I drove it once in the rain. That was actually when my engine started overheating and was bad and dead. But Nikko Circuit's awesome. I just hope I can do it again in the dry.
Yeah, that's a track that I'd really like to drive. All of them.
Track.
I've been to Ebisu, but I have not driven there.
So next time you're here, you got to jump in mine.
Okay.
It's a stock one. It's a stock chaser, but that's what you need for Ebisu anyway.
I've never driven a JZX. When I was back when I had my S13, I was always I'm gonna get JZX 100. One of these days, man, I'm gonna get a JZX 100, and I waited too long because now prices are.
They're if people knew what they went for back in the day, they'll be so upset.
Yeah, I mean, at
Yeah.
least I have the motor from one, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's it. Motors. Like I paid like a little bit of money for my quite a bit of money for my motor. Like motors back in the day used to be sub 100,000 yen for one JZs. They were nothing. They were a dime a dozen. But now
Yeah,
it's like 3 times that price.
yeah, they're getting crazy over here.
Yeah,
But I mean, the demand.
pay to play these days, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna. I'm really interested to see like, are there any like weird motors that people are like kind of going to in Japan that are cheaper, like from newer cars? Because there really isn't much like in the modern day stuff. Like,
Mm, yeah, you're right. There really isn't. To be fair, from what I've seen, they've started using like NA 2Js and just turboing them, plus T in them.
I see.
That's the next thing that people are doing because the only difference is the oil squirters. But I think
NA.
it's the non-VVTIs that are the ones that they go for because the internals are more or less the same as the turbo version. Um,
Yeah.
but apart from that, there isn't anything that you'd really think of as like brand new that people are trying to put. I mean, people still put like 2Js into GTA 6s and even like RCFs they put 2Js into. So it's a bit,
Yeah.
it's a bit wild and scary to think about that
I know.
after a bit of time.
I almost want to like get a couple of them and just like these are
For real,
mine.
for real.
Like, nobody else.
Just stockpile them in the corner or something. Yep, these are mine.
Man, yeah, I think things are gonna get interesting here. Like, and you're saying that in Japan prices are going up too, even in like this last like during. I mean, so I have like a group of friends who went to Japan.
Yeah.
They were the last people outside of Japan who got to drive Ebisu. Like, because they were there the week of like COVID and like no one was there. And
Yeah,
so they were like, yeah, get out. They let them in the country because it was like the week where they like said, okay, no more people.
right.
And so they had like I think like 3 days to themselves. Like they had all of Ebisu to themselves in their
Cool.
car. They got to drive it a bunch. They went home, and now I'm looking at them like you might be the last people that got to drive Manami from like outside of Japan. Like,
Yeah. For real. Yeah, man. Like everyone who's getting in now are either teachers like myself, or military personnel. But I think that's about it in terms of foreigners. Oh, I guess and Olympic contestants, but that's all been and gone
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
I don't know how many of them are drifting, but maybe one of
Maybe
them.
some. Maybe
I wonder if anyone came from the Olympics that's like super into drifting and went and like checked it out.
Let me be part of the committee, and I just need to take a day off somewhere, and I'll be back, Clive.
Yeah. Like I gotta go to the docks for this
real.
very important meeting tonight.
Oh man, yeah, it's wild that news kind of came out of nowhere, but I guess it kind of makes sense if you look at the whole grand scheme of things, and it is sad that Minami will be from the reports I've heard and from what I've heard that it's changing into a rally track, which is what it used to be back in the day. From what I've been told, what I've heard, so like I may not be 100% accurate. It's like secondhand information.
I guess rally might be like getting popular or more popular or something, and they just want space for it, or
could just be more affordable than drifting these days.
That's real, man.
Yeah, because
that's definitely real
for sure. Like they're like people are starting to bring 350Zs out to the track, like G35s, 37s, which you never used to see even a year ago. To be honest with you,
really,
like when I got to Matsuris a year ago, you'd maybe see like one 350Z and everything else was your usual Sylvia, Skyline, JZX, and now you're seeing more 350Zs out there and some GTA 6s as well. So yeah, it's definitely changing. I think it's at a point now where everything's just transforming and changing.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how things go over there, because I mean I haven't been in like I guess 2 years now. So
yeah,
and every time I go to Mahon, so it's like pretty much the same thing every time.
Yeah,
It's like a bunch of S chassis that are like there's some nice ones and some ones that are like very fast but scary looking, you know?
Yeah. Like I think I was talking to a friend the other day, who's also into drifting himself, and he was like, I think the barrier to entry is really, really high for new people, but it's going to be interesting for people like us who have our engines and gearboxes and cars already, what we're going to be putting those drivetrain intos if we have an unfortunate accident and we need to change chassis.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have a spare JZX chassis shell waiting for me. If anything happens to mine that I can just put my stuff into, which I bought before everything happened. But like, are we going to put them into GTA 6s? Are we going to put them into 350Zs? Are we going to put them into Altezas maybe? Like, we don't know yet.
That's happening over here a lot. That's very common. Well,
Yeah.
like over here, it's the IS300, but it comes with the NA2J already.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that's becoming a very popular choice. But most of them came automatic, so it's like all you have to do is like manual swap it and turbo. But that's that's work, and that's not necessarily like just buying a car that's able to drift. I think the one that's going to be really popular is probably the GT86. I was talking to Kazuya about it a bit, and he was like, he does FD, and he's like, he likes the S15, but he's like, honestly, this is a good platform. I'm like, all right. I mean, if you like an S15 and you like this car, then it's probably not a bad route,
I hear you.
But it's like
the engines, man.
yeah.
It's a shame. Like Toyota has a lot of other really good, capable engines that they could have put in instead. I mean, the joke that I always make is like, you got to remember that car comes with Prius-sized tires. So I hope that tells you everything you need to know. Like,
yeah. I mean, they made it for like, they made it to get good gas mileage, and then if you want to go I mean, it's supposed to be a Corolla replacement. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They wanted it to be slow and fun and like something you can throw around with like really good like balance and stuff, and that's why they put a flat motor in it. But I mean, I think if the K series Honda motors mounted like in rear wheel drive form can actually like withstand heavy drift abuse, I think that motor in the GT86 platform is going to be very popular in the coming years.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've seen, like, I never really kept up to date with much of the Honda engines, but I have started seeing it more and more online. People doing K series, like your man Hurt, he put one into his 240, I guess. And I mean, one kind of blew up, I think, but then he's got another one now. But I've seen that swap happening more and more. Like, I got some friend in the UK who's doing the same thing as well. So
I think if Hurt puts that motor in his car and it actually works, and he's like able to drive it a lot, I think people are gonna buy a lot of those. So
yeah, for sure.
And Julian's doing that as well. So it's we'll see, man. I mean, I'm very curious to see. I think the point of entry is raising though. Like 100%. It is like, because back in the day, you'd pick up a car that you could drift for like a couple grand, right?
Yeah.
And like you can kind of still do that here. Like if you get like even the whatever you say about the chassis, the E36 is a capable platform that 100%. There are a lot of here, and I'm sure in the UK too. I mean, that's like all you see at the
basically.
Yeah. That's kind of what it is over here too. Like they're just affordable cars that you can deal with, but there's only so many of them, and prices are going up, and like I just don't know what's next. Dude, you used to be able to get like a 350Z for like $3,000, and now they're like 6, 7, 8. Everything's just
wild,
doubling. Yeah.
Should I tell you how much I got my S14 for back in 2015?
Sure.
It cost me 560,000 yen.
Oh.
Which is, what's that, like almost like $6,000 or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. And this was 350 horsepower, cams, cage, knuckles, 4.6, ready to go, body kit, like ready to rock and roll. Like you could take this to a comp and you'd be fine, no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I wasn't that good of a driver for it, and I definitely went back to the roots by getting a stock JZX and building it up as I go. Definitely much better. But the price of that was insane.
I'm gonna say, like, what was it like jumping? Because that's something that we talk about often. Like a lot of my teammates and friends and stuff.
Yeah.
We all started because we're like broke kids, but I mean similar price of entry, right? Like we're all broke kids, and we got like a 240 and like kept the NA like K24 in it, right? And weld the diff, and sometimes not even put coilovers on it. Just go out and drift it, and we like learned with not only like low power but like no power, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, I don't know if it's really like the same thing as like a Corolla, but it's like similar concept, right? Like what was
Yeah, I
it
get you.
like learning in something that fast, and then how does it like translate? Like do you feel like you had to like kind of relearn some basics when you started over because you started with power, or
That's an awesome question. I felt like with my S14, I wasn't momentum drifting, is the way that I explain
mm,
it. What I was
yeah.
doing is I was drifting, then slowing down, then speeding up, then just so I was compensating for my own apprehensiveness to carry that speed through a corner with the power that the car was able to do. Like I could do all of North Course in third gear in that car. That's how much power it had, and
Yeah.
because of the 4.6 diff, it was just happy third gear the whole. Like I wouldn't have to change gears, which I guess at the time feels kind of cool because you're making all this smoke and you don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
change
yeah.
gears and you're
Yeah,
like, yo,
for sure.
I'm the biggest, baddest man on campus, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the big dog, like it's like the locker room, you know what I mean? You walk through, like, it's like, yeah, my car can do so much smoke. But then try to go to a technical track where you got to change down gears and it's like, I haven't really practiced this quick shift and change down thing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
um, and I felt like going to my JZX, which is heavier, and JZXs are good at carrying speed. In terms of building speed back up, if you got a stock one, it's not the best. And I'm fine with
Interesting.
that. But it's like I think it was the best decision I ever made going to a JZX. Like the difference that I see between the two cars is that my S Sylvia, this could be more to do with the chassis rather than the power. My Sylvia was very twitchy and always wanted to drift, which I personally don't like. I like the car being
Mm,
normal, doing its thing, and the moment I tell it to drift, it goes. So
mm,
that was the thing that JZX has taught me is that you can drive normally, but you have to be the one that's 100% in control of how you want the car to go and what you want the car to do. So that's why I've trying to been practicing building up the speed, throwing big flicks, using that to slow myself down instead of using the brake, the foot brake to slow myself down, and using that momentum and the weight of the JZX to carry myself through a corner and keep the high speed up, and also learning how to downshift quickly and stuff like that. So I took it as I'm learning to push myself as a driver and push myself in using the science and the physics of driving to be better rather than undercutting my like own bad driving skills by using power to like make up for it. That's
interesting.
the way I
Yeah,
see it.
that's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty realistic. I
Yeah.
feel like that's I feel like that's how most people feel in Japan, right? Like that's like kind of a common consensus is like momentum drifting, like that, that's like the technical ability and pushing the technique, not like fixating on like tuning, right? And
Yeah.
adding, more and more stuff to the car to be able to make it do XYZ. It's like very technique focused. Like
Yeah.
what I think someone was explaining to me that like people are more common. So like in the US, people are always talking about setup,
Yeah.
but not setup like parts and like what are you running and this and that. And then in Japan, people are talking about like technique, like where are you entering, and then some tuning stuff, but like mainly like it's technique focused. I don't know if that's true like at Ebisu, but I hear other tracks that's the case.
Yeah. I'd say 100% that we just look at technique driving a lot. Like I record all of my in cars and I watch my in cars like religiously. As soon as I'm done, like the moment I finish a run, I'll jump on my phone, get the GoPro app out, and I'll just watch it. And I'll be like, okay, what did I do here? What did I do there? And then I'll take that footage and I go,
Mm,
like, I'm privileged and humbled and lucky enough that I can just take that to Andy, like, and at PV and be like, hey, bro, like, is this good? What do I need to do here? Like, how can I do it better?
mm-hmm.
And he just usually says, you either need to go faster or you need to not slow down as much. Like, and because like you can take a stock
Why is that? Why
JZX.
is that always like? Why is that always the people who are really good's advice? Like, you
Yeah,
just need to
for
go
real.
faster.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, he said one thing to me and it made everything click. Like, I was having some troubles doing clutch kick entries on North Course because I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a bit scary. Like,
Yeah,
I have a girlfriend here. I've got responsibilities. I got my teaching job. Like, I can't just get injured, you know. Like,
yeah, I
as,
get it.
and yeah, my car's all safe. Got a roll cage, harness, bucket seats, but still, I'm still a little bit apprehensive. And I've crashed into the North Course mountain before my S14. I was trying 360-degree entries in the pouring rain. It was very dumb. I managed to get one. Then I said, let me do one more, and I crashed into the mountain. Anyway, I digress. And his advice to me was, don't think about it, just do what you know you can do. Like, I've seen you drive, you can do it. Like, you just got to have confidence that you'll make the corner. Just clutch kick and throw the car as you normally would. Like on school course, you do the same thing. You're just doing it at a higher speed. There's enough runoff on North Course. If you feel like you're not going to make it, you can just tap the brake, and because your car's got so much angle, it'll slow down and you won't hit anything. And I applied that, and from then on, I've been able to just throw these big, nice angle entries with JZX and start getting on power earlier and earlier and earlier to just push myself through the corner. And then the power figures or setup when you have the car doesn't even matter. Like, I've got like Kazama Auto lower control arms, 25 millimeters, and old school Heyman 800 PS knuckles. Like, but I'm still throwing massive entries because I don't need some crazy where my wheels can go like that. It's like, it all depends on, if you can just drive harder and drive better, your car will do it. You just have to tell it to do it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the faster you enter, the more momentum you're carrying.
Yeah.
The car will continue to go the way that you want it to go, even if your wheels aren't turned that way. Like, it'll drag them if you're going fast enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of people are afraid of is switching from the handbrake technique to like clutch kick entries, especially on like a straight line entry.
Yeah,
because it's scary.
It is 100%. Yeah, for real.
I think like even people that have been driving a long time, like a lot of them will. I mean, I know it's like it almost seems like the rule in FD where they are like required to e-brake entry. I don't know if that's the case, but I think they say like, we want you to e-brake entry here and blah blah blah. And I pretty much always clutch kick entry, like on everything, because that's just what I'm comfortable with. But it's really hard to explain to people what, like, how much it affects the momentum of the drift, right? Like,
so much. Like, it's I put up a video recently of the my girlfriend captured some out car footage of my car, and I did the handbrake entry and then I did the clutch kick entry, and I didn't explain it. I just said, this is a handbrake entry, this is a clutch kick entry, just because I wanted to see what people wrote.
And you're entering at the same place.
Yep, same place. More or less the same amount of speed, just to show the difference. And I know for yourself and me watching it, like, oh, clutch kick entry is way faster, so on and so forth. Like, we can tell it, but I think for other people, it was quite difficult for them to actually understand the difference. And I was reading through the comments and looking at it, and they were really interesting because people thought that they understood it, but it was a little bit wrong. People were saying, "Oh, he's a lot slower on a clutch kick entry. Maybe I should do handbrake instead." But then it's
really.
Like, yeah. And then
because I watched that comparison and I was like, it's no brain. Like, you're way deeper, faster, and then like way more angle. You know?
And people were just like, oh, the clutch kick ones are a lot slower. Like, his corner exit's faster on the handbrake one. I'm like, that's because I more or less drove out of the corner. Like, my car was like, instead of being like
you're pointed at the apex versus like looking at the apex.
For real. Like, so it's difficult to explain to people, but I guess the main thing is that it is a little bit scarier to do. And it's just, imagine trying to get the car to twist. So you're getting it to twist and then it's slowing right down. But instead of getting it to twist, you're like slowing it down with a handbrake, then trying to get it to twist, then slow it down even more. Like, you won't make the corner unless you're going like 20 k's faster than a clutch kick entry, which is even scarier, you know?
Because if you're pulling the e-brake and you're entering that late, like, and you're going that fast, I mean, it'll slow you down, but it's sometimes you need that like big angle to like make the corner.
Yeah, for real.
I've stood on that corner and like watched people at the one Matsuri I went to, and I was like, I want to drive this corner so bad, because I really enjoy like throwing cool entries. Like, that's something I feel like I work on that a lot, actually. Like, I went to an event and it was kind of like it was a bit of like a hypey event, but I literally spent like, none of my friends went to go drive, so it was just me, and I didn't have a bunch of people to like tandem with or anything. There were people there, but it wasn't like one of those things. And I'm like, all right, I'm working on entries today. And I blew off the track like, I think 8 times. One time enough where I had to get towed off, like pulled out. Shout out Taka. This like fucking truck and like pulling me out. And like sometimes that's what it takes. Like,
For real.
but I mean, I've been drifting 10 years and
Yeah.
I'll still go to an event and like if I know no one's behind me, like I'm gonna try and throw something a little bit more difficult and I'll lose the car and like try not to crash. But like, that's kind of what it takes, I think. And it's exciting to see more people kind of like I think the thing that excited me about the stuff that you've been posting is it seems like it's getting people excited about just the technique of like entering a corner, right? I think
Right.
that's
Right.
like one of the big things in drifting is it's commonly one of the most overlooked parts of drifting if you don't know anything about drifting, right?
Right. 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 Right.
Or if you've it's I think it's one of the most commonly overlooked things even if you do drift, right? Like people are looking at the drift after you've entered the corner, but I think the
Right.
entry and I think that's one of the big differences in Japanese driving versus I'm pretty much everywhere else is like in Japan they're very focused on like entries. Entries are like very important, and I think
Yeah.
in other places it's not quite looked at as in detail, I guess. Does that make sense? Do you think
Yes.
that okay.
Yeah. No. No. I mean, I totally get what you're saying. Like, it's like if I'm taking North Course for an example, it's like I think the usual thing that we expect in Japan between the drivers and whatnot is you can do the small S's in the back section of North Course. Like that's your basic, that's your standard drifting. Like you should be able to link corners. You should be able to do that. But
Yeah,
what is
absolutely.
cool, what is like, oh, this guy can drive, is how well can you take your car from a straight to an angle and hold it like to and it can either be a high angle entry, a reverse entry, or a good angle for someone to chase you. Like those are like the
Yeah.
three different types that I can think of right now.
Hmm.
And it's like you should be able to do the back part stuff. Like that's your bread and butter, like that's
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
course. Like you should be able
Yeah.
to do that. But can you throw the car in with massive angle? And that's what I've been talking to Andy about a lot. And I've just been like, there are all the different ways that I can enter North Course. You can either do the triple manji where you clutch kick before the start, before you come over the hill. You can do a shallow manji, which is what I've been practicing recently to keep that speed up and flick it like a feint almost. But
Hmm.
I like to start from back there because it's really difficult to actually just drive the car up the hill and try to keep all the speed because there's a little corner when you get to the top of North.
Hmm.
So when you clutch kick and shallow angle it, it's like a flick or a feint, sorry. And he's like, those are the things that you need to practice on because there are all these different tracks in Japan. Some tracks, for you to get the proper line, you have to do a big flick. Other tracks, you have to do a feint. Like, and these are the most important things because you're setting up for the S's down here, but this is what sets you up. The main corner, the big flick, the entry is what sets you up for that. So that's why we always try to practice that the most. Yeah, so that's the way that I see it, and that's the way I think that loads of us see it over here. Like if you just stand in that North Course entry, you stand in that corner where you said you were. That's
Yeah.
that's where the men are separate from the boys, essentially. Like, yeah,
Yeah. And if you don't know what North Course is, it's the one where like if you see the in car, they go up the hill to the left slightly, and then it's a straight line. There's a building on the left, and then it's like a sharp left hander into some S's. That's like for those of you who don't know what North
yeah.
Course is, I'm sure everyone does, but
Just in case, yeah,
yeah. And it's in like I've seen like 1,000 videos there, and it's always entries, like because it's like a sick spot for practicing them, doing them. It's like
yeah.
that's why I was like watching that. Like, oh, I need a car. Someone give me the fucking keys right now. It's so hard going to an event in a like and like seeing like this like legendary track, and you're
Yeah.
like, I can't do anything. I
It's
can
like
watch.
I'm here, I can touch it, I can
Yeah.
kiss it, but I can't get in the car and drive it.
Yeah, and it was like it was rough getting there. Like we didn't plan it very well, and so like I
Right.
tried to get like a rental car, and like I went into all the places, and like I don't speak any Japanese at all, so I'm like, I need a car, and they like pull out the book, and they're like,
Yeah.
and then they're like, it just says like no cars today, like in English.
Oh man.
The only thing that my girlfriend thought was cool at Ebisu was like when we got home, I was like, oh yeah, that Frank Ocean album cover that was like at Ebisu,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
she's like,
yeah,
oh, that's cool. Like, she's
yeah.
like, they drive really fast in Japan. I was like, she's like, how come you guys don't do that? I'm like,
Oh man, that's so funny you mentioned that. Like my girl, she's Kiwi. She's from New Zealand. I met her while I lived
Mm-hmm.
there, and she's here with
Mm-hmm.
me now. She is the biggest critique of my driving, but in like a supportive sort of way. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm practicing big flicks today, she'll stand there at the corner you were mentioning on North Course and watch me. And if I'm doing these slow manji entries, she'll just look at me and be like, why are you doing manjis for, bro? You know, flick is faster. Just what are you doing with your life? Or like, or if she's in the car with me and I'm drifting really bad, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna get out until you sort yourself out and I'll come back in. So like a part of me wanted to get really good so I can take her in the car and not have her get car sick or anything like that as well. So it's like it's funny. Like
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend, she likes to let me know when I'm, I don't know. Sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, that was pretty good today." I'm like, "Thank you, appreciate that. Thank you so much."
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man.
those days are rare though.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. I need it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that one person to be like, "Yeah, you can do better."
For real, man. It's what pushes you to try to get better at that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, are you driving with mainly people like who are there teaching? I know that's like a pretty common thing. Like some of the go-go dudes, like I think I met like Jordo was like
Oh yeah,
teaching
yeah,
and stuff, and
yeah.
I feel like that's like the common thing, right? Like, what's
It,
that like? Like, is
uh,
it?
mm, yeah. It's common because it's like the easiest way into the country,
Yeah.
essentially. You don't really need like you just need a university degree, and that's for the visa side, not for the job side.
Mm,
And then you don't need anything to do with teaching. Like my degree is in accounting and finance. Like I have no business being a teacher. Like I just when I was in um, university, I used to do kids' birthday parties, so they liked that when I applied. And then you have to do like an online lesson where they pretend to be a child. It's really weird. They pretend to be a child, and you have to teach them as part of the interview, and then you get the job here. Um, yeah, I know. I can see your face, and you're just like, "What?" I was like, "No, trust me, it's super weird." This
can you see
40.
them?
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a video call.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
my,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
so
It's like
weird.
this 40-year-old. They're not Japanese. Like, well, some of them are, and some of
Mm.
them aren't. But this 40-year-old person pretending to be a Japanese child is very much ingrained into my memory right now. And you're there trying your hardest because you know why you want to be here. You don't actually really want to teach. You just want to drift.
Yeah,
Like so, you're like, I can be whatever you want me to be. Like yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and then like it's like yeah, ABCs are the best. Ta-da! It's like, and today we're learning about colors. Like please repeat after me. Red. Like, like no word about that. That's how you have to be. Like no joke. They call it being Genki, like being like happy or good, being Genki. Like so you just gotta be like.
Ah,
Um,
yeah.
but teaching, if the kids want to learn, it's great. It's a really fun time. The kids really asked the wildest questions. Like honestly, the wildest questions. I've been asked before, "Why are you brown?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is a teachable moment for you, isn't
Oh
it?"
my god.
And I'm just like, and this kid was like 4 years old, so I'm like, whatever I say, you're not gonna understand it. But let me get another Japanese teacher to tell you in Japanese. Like, it's like there are more colors out there than just white, little man. You know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's trust me, these is some of these are the wildest times. Like, and then when the kids don't want to teach, then it's like a bit annoying, and you know, as with any job, there are your high days and your low days. But for the most part, it's pretty cool, especially if you teach older students. Like I teach kids from 6 months old. Just so everyone's aware, I'm not in a room by myself with a 6-month-old baby. The mum is there too, and I teach the mum, and the mum tells the kid. Like, that's how it
That's
works for that one.
how weird is that? I mean, I guess it's better. That's probably
It's
better.
yeah, it's not it's actually all right to be fair because the mums want to learn English too, and it's also something for them to do because the life of
Yeah.
a Japanese mum, I guess, during certain times of the day, they just kind of like do the regular housewife stuff. So them getting sometimes a few of them take it together, so it's a time for them and their friends to meet up and learn English together with their babies and go have lunch together and stuff. So it's quite nice.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
with that, you just relay everything through the parents. So it's like, parents, please tell your babies hello, and it's like, parents, please tell your babies red, like and stuff like that. So it's not too bad. But the older students, like the junior high school kids, like was it like from 16 above or whatever, they're cool. Sometimes they have the most boring lives you've ever seen in your entire life, bruv. Like, I feel so sorry for them. Like, honestly, what did you do this weekend? I studied. Oh, okay. How long did you study for? 10 hours on Saturday. It's like, oh, okay. What did you do on Sunday? I studied, let me guess, 10 hours? Yeah. I'm like, I'm so sorry. like, like right now, it's summer vacation for them. And I'm like, oh, awesome, dope. Summer vacation. Summer's really hot in Japan. People go to the beach. I know right now, during the current crisis that's going on, stuff's like state of emergency. Everything closes at 8 p.m. But
Yeah.
still, some people can go out and whatnot. And oh, what did you do for summer vacation? Oh, I went to cram school. So cram school is basically school. It's like a cramming school. It's just an extra school that you go to learn the same subjects you do at regular school.
Just to
Just
beat those
yeah, basically.
topics down. Oh,
Yeah, basically. It's like, well, what do you learn at cramming school? English, math, science. I was like, oh, your same subjects at school? Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, when did you go to cram school? I'm thinking, oh, maybe 3 days of the week they go cram school, 4 days they'll be at home chilling. Every day. And I'm like, oh,
every
for
day.
how long? 9 hours a day. I'm like, wait, Monday to Friday? It's like, no, Monday to Sunday. And I'm like, wait, so for the next 6 weeks when you're on summer vacation, you're basically going to school? Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, bruv. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. So sometimes their lives can be super, super boring. But then sometimes you have like really, really good students who speak English really, really well. And it's like you can have like a full-on conversation just like we are. And it's awesome. It's awesome, man. Like they ask the wildest questions just because they want to know more about the world. And the ones that have studied overseas, like their English grows so much faster and they have like actual, not westernized minds, but some... You can see the seed growing in there, like, and they start to ask these sort of questions, because like, yeah, and then you get your older, like sometimes I teach some parents, like exclusively parents without their children, and they're cool as well. So I've got a class for like 3 mums that I teach all their students, all their children, and then the mums have a lesson together with me, and that's cool. They ask me about like my life and what's going on, how things are in the UK and New Zealand, and what I do, and yeah, it can be good, can be bad. It's just pretty fun and wild. Like you can write this stuff into a story and people won't even believe you, but it actually happens.
I believe it. I can't imagine teaching any language in any country, or going to teach English anywhere, or vice versa. Like I had like for 10 years, my mom, like to help pay the bills, would have exchange students come live with us. So cool. For a longest time we would have people from Saudi Arabia or like all over the world would come live with us, and it was like they'd like be paying extra to like live with an American family to like really be like immersed and like learn the language and stuff, because it's like you want to take a shower, like you better use your English. like, you know what I mean? like you better remember what towel means, like,
for real. Like
so,
don't walk around naked in my house.
And so like I should have used that to my advantage, because like I could have learned so many, like at least like a little bit of so many languages, but right. So giant waste of time, but it was cool.
Yeah.
One time, one of the guys, it was right when I got my S13, and he was like walking up and he was like, Chuki? Like he's like, I mean, I'm fucking up the thing, but I'm like, he looked at it and he's like, and then he went around to the back and he was like super confused, because it's in the US we have, one vias.
Yeah.
And he's like, one via? And I'm like, oh, like this is how they are in the US. I'm like, this is the front and this is the back. And he was like, this is so dude. And he knew a little bit about drifting, so like that was sick.
That's cool, man.
But that was like the only thing. And I was like, and then so like, I was talking to him, he's like, oh, I only know like a little bit, I'm sorry. Like I was like expecting him to be like, I was like, hey, can you like connect me with people out there, man? Like I want to go. And he's just like, I'm sorry, like I only know the little bit, like the option video, like
Oh man, that's so funny.
So
you had an in, like you were like, oh, this is it, this is my life.
I was like, I'm getting an SR.
For real.
This guy's gonna give me some like wheels. I'm getting shipped over here. Like,
I'm here to get paid.
I find it really intriguing, the people that like move to Japan, like Braden, like I had him on the podcast. He's been in Japan I think like 7 years now.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, even so, for example, like Julian, like all he wants to do is compete and like drive in Japan.
Yeah.
And like he has a car there. And I'm like, I've asked him, why not just move there? You know what I mean? Like, and run businesses there in the US and kind of do like maybe what Casey does a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's just, I think that it like takes some like serious commitment, you know, like to make that decision. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess somebody who would just be drop everything and like move to New Zealand, like it's not that much different, right? To then move to Japan. Like what went through your mind where you're like what was like the hardest thing to get past in that decision? Or were you
Hmm.
just like all in?
I think because I had already made my mind up before I moved to New Zealand that I wanted to move to Japan, I was already all in, and then I made sure not to have any responsibilities. Like I don't have any car, like I don't have a car in the UK. I don't have any property or anything like that. That's in my name. Like, so it was easy for me to just make the move. But it is difficult. Like, and I had been to Japan so many times before. I kind of had a very small inkling as to what to expect when I got here. Um, but it is difficult, and there are a lot of things that are very difficult in Japan. That I would tell people if they want to move over here. Like for example, I don't have a phone number because to get a phone number you need a credit card, but to get a credit card you need a phone number. So someone tell me how that works out. Like, and like I when I go shopping, for example, I have to go to 4 different supermarkets to get everything I need for the week. I go to one supermarket to pick up frozen items. I go to another supermarket to pick up like healthy items like cauliflower rice and whatnot because I try to be on top of my health out here. Um, I go to another restaurant to pick up like salads and specific like types of like snacks, I guess. And I go to the last one, which is Costco, to pick up Costco things. Um, so yeah, there's that also to think about. But in terms of the biggest hurdle to move here, it was just my family. Like because I'm Ethiopian, we have a very our culture is very family based, um, and it was just a bit sad and a bit hard for me to make the move and leave. And essentially, to I look at because I'm the oldest, and I look at it as I'm leaving my family behind, which it's not true, but that's how I used to look at it for the longest time, and it's really difficult because I want to be able to provide for my parents. You know, I want to be able to take them out, like you want to be able to take your parents out to like dinner or something, or like
Mm-hmm.
you know go pick them up if they go shopping or something in your cool car or something like that. Like really give your mum and dad the time to just sit there and appreciate the human being that they've created and that they're proud of. So that was a bit difficult for me, but I'm hoping that I can make something out here of the driving and the drifting and be able to pay that back to them in the future and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the goal? Like do you have like a dream that you're like working towards? Because
Yeah.
I know you can
Yeah.
only do the school thing so long, you know?
Yeah. The school thing is definitely not a career, in my opinion. Like, it's if I wasn't into drifting and I just came here for the school thing, I think I could save a decent amount to go back and do something with. But because I do drifting, I don't live paycheck to paycheck, but it's close-ish. Like,
Yeah.
I'd ideally like to start my own business or company, like Milky Diamonds, moving forward by um, like something to do with drifting. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but like it's not exactly like merchandise or anything like that, but just a Milky Diamonds like media sort of business because I'm planning to move back to New Zealand next year with my girlfriend if all my visa stuff works out fine,
Mm.
and then just use everything I've learned through social media and everything I've learned through driving myself to try and potentially use Milky Diamonds to either help people to do drifting or to like make it into a sort of brand. Like I'd love to make merchant because I'm from London and because I'm African. Like I'd love to make some really nice fitting Milky Diamonds merchandise in
Hmm.
terms of like I think merch is cool, but I'm not the biggest fan of car car guy merch, if that makes sense. When someone has like something that you're wearing and it just screams I'm a car person, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but I like to make it a bit more sophisticated because I'm from London. I want it to be like real nice, down to earth, sophisticated that you can wear on a date, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Like, so there are those different avenues that I want to look into, but definitely make some sort of business where I can work for myself and have me and my family be financially free is the goal that I'm working towards.
Yeah, I can respect that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you have this thing that's like, how do I explain it? Like, I try and explain to my friends who are like financially responsible, I guess. Not that I'm not, but like they're like, oh, I save as much as I can, and like, oh, I might buy a new car someday, like, like, and they have like a beater, and it's like, yeah, that restaurant's really expensive, and stuff like that, where like, I can't. My friend was like, oh, I'm gonna get some glasses. He's like, $300 for glasses. Like, I can't believe it, and I'm just like, I ordered a clutch like that week, and I'm in my head, I'm just like it, in comparison, this like huge purchase to them is like something that I have to do. Like, I'm like, I'm like compulsive. Like, I'm like, I need to go drive. Like, I need tires. I need, like, like, I can't not do this.
Yeah.
And I think it puts you in kind of this situation where you're like, because I'm not living this normal way, like, I can't do life the normal way,
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm having to buy a new diff. I get paid in 2 days. So I'm gonna have to put $1,500 towards a diff. Which, I basically, it's gonna be put into my car, and then I'm just like, yeah, my car works, but like, I can't really comprehend where that money just went, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I
get it.
Yeah. Same way I had to buy my engine. I was like, I just want to drive. Okay, here you go. Like, so you're right.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to living a regular sort of life. Love to make something financially free, because I guess we've come accustomed to that way of living. Like, we want to live, not survive. So we just want to get out there and just do it. Like, with this stuff is limited. We're not going to be drifting in. Well, we might not be, I should say, drifting in like 30 years time. You know what I mean? Like, so we're trying to get as much as we can, as much in as we can right now before it potentially, like, eventually does go downhill,
Yeah, I think between COVID and like this like scary like medical thing that I went through, I was like, life's like not that long, man. Like, I need to like do this as much as I can. Like, this is like, and COVID was like, those two things weren't related, by the way.
Right.
Like two separate experiences, but like, it was like, I had the one and I was like, I should be doing this more. And then like COVID happened. I was like, I mean, like, the whole world could just end tomorrow. Like, what if this thing is like as crazy as it is, and like we don't get it figured out and everyone just starts dropping? Like, I want my last like week to have a drift event in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Like, if we're like, everyone's like, it's like a zombie movie and shit. Like, I want to at least be like, oh man, I shouldn't have had my car on jack stands for 8 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get you. I completely, like, I was at the Toge recently. I'm not gonna say when, I'm not gonna say who I was with, but I was at the Toge. And I was just with a friend, and we were just, after we went out for a couple of runs, we were just sitting there, and we were just like, yeah, I don't really want a regular life. We were just looking around like at everything, and it just feels like you're in a completely different world. We're just in the mountains, and it's just all crazy, and you can hear cars going and stuff. And we're just like, yeah, it feels like you've been transported to another world, and you're just like, yeah, I don't really want a regular thing. I'm pretty content with how we're doing this right now. Like, I'm like, yeah, I completely agree with you. Like,
once you get a taste of, like, I don't know, man, it's almost like the Matrix. Like, you're like, I'm awake. Like, I don't, especially like, I don't know. I feel like here, and like people my age mostly kind of just do whatever they want, like, to a point, right? Like, there are people surviving, and like, obviously there's some challenges, and people who may not be as like fortunate to have like the access to things to be able to do the stuff that we're able to do.
Right.
But I see it as like a motivating thing. Like, on one end, it's like kind of challenging because you like do all this stuff. Like, I was on my way to a drift event.
Yeah.
And I stopped in like a not the nicest area, right? I had my car on the trailer, and this dude comes up to me and he's like, hey man, remember, like, all of us around here don't get to do shit like that. Like, he's like,
Yeah,
respect, that shit's sick, bro. But like, remember that. And like, dude, that's stuck with me. And
yeah,
so now,
yeah,
now I'm kind of like, we are fortunate that we get to do this, even on like a small level. Like, think
yeah,
about, we like have a car like at our disposal that we could go break and we could still do our job, or do whatever. Like that's not a possibility for a lot of people. And so
yeah.
like, once you like get to that point, you kind of like don't want to have that ever end. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, for sure, man. 100%. You've tasted the fruit. Like you don't want to go back to just like not like eating it. I guess
yeah,
like you've
like,
had like the whole chocolate bar. You don't want to go back to a Hershey's Kiss. You know?
how do you keep it going though? And then like you get scheming and you're like, no, like maybe I'll sell this, or like we do, I've been like, where you're like, hey, that promotion, like I want that shit, like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
a job that before you just be like, fuck it, I don't care, but like now you're just, I don't know, it's a motivating factor, I think. And I
for
wish
sure, man.
like more people could like get there. I feel like some of the stuff that we're doing is, especially you, like you putting out, like you're very good at like reaching non-drifting people, I think,
Oh, thanks,
right?
man.
So
Yeah,
like, I think that's really important because you can like show people like, hey, like we're not all just like professional guys.
mm.
You're good at like being like, hey, I am grassroots. like like here are some techniques, and like, hey, look, I'm just a dude, like, and I'm learning to drift, and this is how I do it. And I think that's super important because it's like, I think a lot of people look at what we're doing and just be like, how fuck do you even like no concept, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was the same actually. Because funny enough, before I bought my car at Ebisu, I was talking to an importer in Japan trying to get an AE86 imported to the UK because I wanted to start drifting,
mhm.
and I had seen all these Ebisu videos online, and I swear to you, I only thought professional drivers went there. Every single video I watched, everyone was
Mm.
so good. Everyone was doing their thing and they were awesome. I'm like, wow, this is so sick. This is awesome. I'd love to go and watch, was what I always thought. I'm like, these guys are professionals. They're doing this stuff. Like, this looks like so much fun. Everyone's happy and smiling. It's all good vibes. And then one person said, thanks to Power Vehicles on one of their videos. And I was like, oh, what's this? So then I clicked on the link. I went to it. They have like Drift Heaven Week. And I read the whole thing top to bottom. And I was like,
Oh, I could
and
do
I
this.
just,
Yeah.
for real, yeah, I was like, oh, so this is a thing, okay. So I emailed the importer. I was like, yep, can I get my deposit back, please? I'm gonna do something else instead. I emailed Emily, um, at Power Vehicles, and I was so honest with her, not fun. I told her everything. I was like, look, I want to do drifting because it looks cool, and I want to get into it. I can't drive a car properly, or at all, I should say. I don't have a license. I'm currently trying to import an A86 to the UK to try and learn to drift. Like this whole drift heaven thing looks amazing to me. Like how does it work? What's going on, etc. So like your basic, like potentially if somebody was to see it, they think, oh, this guy's a dreamer, and not reply. Is the way it was the kind of the vibe I was
Yeah,
given
I
off.
see.
Like,
Yeah.
but she responded to me and she was like to me, yeah, that we have these cars for sale. Anyone can come and you don't need the license to drive here. You can take lessons as well. With Team Orange, we can get you a translator too. And I promise, like, not I promise you, but because the track's open from, I think back then it was 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, or 8:30 to or 4:30 or whatever. She said, "You'll if you come here for a week, you'll do more driving here in a week than you will do in a year back home." And the
Yeah.
moment I read that, I was like, "Okay, sweet." And then
Yeah.
like, and because I didn't know much about drift cars back then. All I knew about was Sylvias because that's what we had in the UK,
Yeah.
but I didn't know nothing about coilovers, turbos. I knew absolutely
Really?
nothing. I knew nothing, like genuinely nothing. Like, um,
How old
and
were you at this point?
20. I was 20.
Okay. Okay.
And no one in my family's into cars or driving or drifting. It's just myself, and I just like none of my friends are into it. It's just me.
Yeah.
So what I did was, which I don't tell people a lot because it's not embarrassing. It's just really funny. I went to their stockroom page on the website, and I went to the most expensive cars, which are like back then it was like 1 million plus was like the expensive big boy cars, and it sounds so funny saying that now. And I looked at all the Sylvias and I looked at all the turbos that they had, and I see that turbo that most of the high-priced Silvias had were T5 180Z turbos. I'm like, oh, okay, so this seems like a good turbo. Maybe I should find a car with this turbo in my price range. Not knowing anything about what the numbers or anything meant. I saw this number repeating multiple times. Like, oh, okay, if a lot of cars have this, it must be good. That was my train of thought. So I went to my price range, which was around 500,000 yen, and there was one S14 with a T5 180Z turbo, and I was like, okay, I'll go for this one. Like that was it. I was like, I'm gonna go for this one. And then they put up the video 2 days later on their Facebook page, just coincidentally saying this car is not ready for sale. I quickly jumped on my laptop and I was like, Emily, please give me more information about this car. And they sent me 100 pictures and the whole spec list, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. But that was it. I chose the car based on the turbo without knowing anything else about it. And yeah, so it for someone not on the outside looking in, it can definitely feel like this is only for professionals, only for people with a lot of money, and you can feel a bit embarrassed as well trying to ask for this type of information, because it does feel a bit embarrassing. You're like, oh, what makes a good drift car, or oh, is this turbo good? Especially if someone's really high level, you might think they might look down on you. You know how they say never meet your heroes, because they might not be the pedestal you put them up to. So that's why I just try and give out the information.
I'd say that's true and total bullshit. I met some people that were heroes, and I'm like, this is awesome. And I have met some people, and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But not never.
For real.
Like the Beeb says, dude, never say never.
Never say never, JB.
Actually, is that a song or the movie? I don't know. I don't know anything about Justin Bieber.
Both.
I'm just trying to be funny.
Both.
Okay. All right, well,
I don't know either. I'm just helping.
I guess I'm a fan. So you're saying none of your family's into cars.
Yeah.
None of you didn't know coilovers or anything. How did you find drifting? Because okay, this is crazy, because you went you fucking you didn't just dive into the deep end of a pool. You dove into the fucking you dove into the
Danger
fucking
zone,
the Pacific Ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was always into cars. Well, no, to the life. First, it was trains. I was always into trains. Thomas the Tank Engine was my guy when I was younger. Thomas Tank Engine is my guy. Him, Percy, they're all my boys. They are my boys. I had Thomas Tank Engine wallpaper, Thomas the Tank Engine bed sheets, duvet covers. My bed light was Thomas the Tank Engine. He was my guy. I love trains.
I think Ringo Starr or one of the Beatles was one of the voices on that show.
Really?
Did you know that? Yeah.
I did not know that. No way.
It was one of the Beatles or something. I could be wrong, but
that's so jokes.
I hella watched. I definitely watched Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, he was. The Fat Controller's hilarious. I never knew why they called him Fat Controller until I'm older, and now I'm like, that's a bit rude, but whatever. I'm like, leave him alone. He's your boss. You can talk to him like that. Anyway,
I was all into monster trucks. I was all. Oh in. Yeah. If my parents wanted me to shut up, they would just put in the Gravedigger VHS tape and play that from the beginning, and I would just be, yeah, that was it.
That's so cool, man. It's look at those wheels; they are massive.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just loved monster trucks.
Yeah, and then I started to get into cars. I just thought cars are really cool, and so this was this is gonna sound like I'm so old, but this was obviously pre-internet. Pre-dial-up days. And I remember in the local area, someone owned a Supra. At that time, I didn't know what a Supra was. The only thing that I thought was cool about the Supra was the badge, the rear badge, the way they write Supra at the back. I just thought it just looked really cool, but I knew nothing about the car. Absolutely nothing about it. I was like, yo, this car's cool because the badge looks cool. It's something I should be looking at. And then Fast and Furious came out. And I was like, yo, this is awesome. This is so sick. And then 2 Fast and Furious came out, which in my opinion at the time was better than the first one. I was like, oh, this is awesome. He's out here driving through traffic and stuff. It looks kind of cool. It's during the daytime. He's doing the stare and drive with the girl, which is awesome. You know what I'm saying?
My girlfriend knows that one too. She's she's like, oh, I can watch this one any day. I'm like,
yeah,
whatever.
And then the best one came out, in my opinion, Tokyo Drift. And then my eyes just went, okay, what is this? I need to know about this. This just looks like the best thing ever. What is this thing called drifting? And that's, by that time, there was internet and stuff. So I was looking through it and everything. I didn't really watch too much of the option videos like most people have back in the day. I was just...
Yeah, you were after that. Like
Yeah.
once Tokyo Drift came out, drifting was like you could find it online.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like it's like elitist and annoying, but like those of us like before Tokyo Drift, it was like it was limited, right?
Yeah,
Like
the
the like
secret
where you
club,
could
right?
find it was limited. Yeah, it not even just like the people, but it was like information about it and like kind of what anyway, whatever. You know, my teammate Jason Bostrom,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
Baby J,
yeah.
he went and saw Tokyo Drift with his grandma,
Oh yeah.
and that's how he found drifting. And he went and bought a 240 like a month later, like in a very short
Cool.
time, because he was
Yeah.
that was his first car when he was 16. The one that he drifts, that was his first car he bought that he used to drive to high school.
Yo, that's so sick, man.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a great driver too. Like,
yeah. I know.
yeah.
I'm very gifted to be the worst one on a team full of ballers. You know.
I hear you. I hear you, bro. I was the same in my basketball team. I'm like, yeah, everyone's sick. I'm the worst, but I'm still on the team, so it's kind of cool, right? I'm like, I can be funny, so that can make up for my lack of skill, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, sweet, yeah.
I've been doing that
and
my whole life, man.
hey, but look, here we are. Like we're on a podcast together, like so that's pretty cool.
That's right.
And yeah, that's when I started like researching like crazy. I was like, yo, drifting, Japan, da da da. And then that's when I found out about Ebisu circuit. And I used to watch video. Like, I swear to you, it was one of the Australian guys called Taylor Wright. Broken Image was his YouTube handle.
Yeah, I know.
His video from I love his stuff from I think it was the 2013 Ebisu Spring Matsuri video. I swear to you, I had that on repeat the whole day. I would sit in front of my laptop for like 2 hours just watching that video, repeat the whole, like for 2 whole hours just watching it. Like, this is amazing, this is incredible, these guys' skill of the car is amazing, look how much fun they're having, this just looks like so much banter and fun times. And that's where it all started, I guess. Yeah.
How insane are we that we're so obsessed with this like one weird car thing? Like it's so fucking weird. But,
or how insane is everybody else for not being in it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like I can relate to that. Like I remember like there's man, like you back in the day, it was like before YouTube, it was really hard to find clips, and I actually like kind of fell off. Like I was really into drifting when I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
And then like I kind of like I got distracted with some life stuff and made some weird, it's not important.
Life.
Yeah.
Life. Yeah.
But by the time I like came back into it, it was like it was everywhere, right? And then once I experienced it, that was it. Like this switch flipped. I was like, this is life. I have to do this now. This is like, what was that for you as far as like driving? It seems like it was like that for you before you even drove, but like, what was the point when you're like, I feel like there's people who I feel like there are people who get into drifting and they're very into it and obsessed and they do it and then they don't feel like they're not lifers, you know what I mean? Like they're not right. Like at what point was that for you, I guess?
Good question. I honestly think the only thing that I can remember is that there was one clip that I saw and I from the 2013 video, and it was the thumbnail of it, and it's Ken Long from Australia drifting a yellow A31 Cefiro, and he gets a wall tap on the toge wall of all walls at Ebisu, the toge wall, and he has got the fattest smile on his face, and the camera just captures it beautifully, and like everyone behind the wall was like, yeah, and I was like, that's it, yeah, that's it, that's the good vibes that I want, and that's the good vibes that like I think I finally figured out I can achieve those good vibes by myself. Like, so in London, like people can flake all the time. It's a usual thing. People just flake when doing things. So like back in uni, right before I got my car, I got into airsoft. And I was like, yo, airsoft is cool. Let's go like shoot some things and do that. And all of my friends were like, yeah, it's cool, it's sweet. I was like, cool, awesome. I went, bought a gun. I was like, sweet. I bought all the gear. We're booked in. And everyone's like, yeah, now I'm all right. And I'm like, what do you mean, bruv? Like you said you were onto it. Like let's go do it. And everyone's like, nah, I'm alright. And then I got one of my friends in, but he only came for like 2 sessions for the 2 years for the 4 years I was at uni. So I was like, oh, I'm getting these good vibes from going there by myself. It's great, but like airsoft on your own is kind of more fun with friends. And I was like, I'm looking for this sort of good vibes thing because I'm a very happy, energetic kind of guy. Like I just love to like spread those good vibes. And it's like I want to do something that can give it to other people. And airsoft wasn't really it because one, you kind of need friends with you to do stuff, and two, you're playing with guns. It's not like people aren't going to see it the same way you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I took my girlfriend to come and watch airsoft one time with me playing, and when we were in New Zealand, and I was like to her, "Oh, how do you feel?" She's like, "It was terrifying." So like, it was fun watching you play, like, and I loved it. But everyone else is like, I'm seeing these young boys, 16-year-old who are not mature, like loading up these guns, like these BB guns, which look like real guns, in this big lobby, wearing all black, using the words that we politically aren't correct, that we shouldn't be using these days. Like, he's like, it's terrifying. Like, unless these guys are like have a good head on their shoulders, who knows what could happen. So then I was like, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. Like, and that's when it finally clicked that like something may be really fun to me, but it might not be fun for everyone else. But then when I just saw that video, I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is the moment. I want that. Like, and from then on, I just been trying to search. It's not searching for the good vibes. It's searching for something that you can pass on to people that can really show how excited and how happy you are, and pass that sort of like sensation and emotion to someone else that they can experience through a screen, which is like the first video of mine that went viral was my backwards entry. Where I'm just like, yes, 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 because I've been trying for the longest time to get it, and people are like, I felt you. Like,
I think that's why, because I was wondering, I was like, people post in car all the time. Why this? Like, why are they drawn to this? Because like, someone who does drifting
yeah,
as much as we do, we know there's like a lot of clips out there, and there's a lot of like people doing cool shit. And I was like, why this? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's relatable. I was like, this is relatable. Like, people, like, it shows three things. It shows, one, he didn't just go in and do this like his first try. Like, by you getting excited, it shows like I've been working on this a long time. Like, I've been trying to do this. Two, like, people love to see people get excited about stuff. And three, it's like, I think the way that you like phrase a lot of your stuff is very relatable to people who maybe don't either drift a decent amount or like don't drift a ton. It's like very it's very relatable. Like I had another conversation with one of my friends who, I'll just say Blake. So Blake he's like a younger dude. I think he's like 20 maybe.
right.
He has a bone stock 350Z.
Cool.
And he drifts as much as he can, and he's very into like Japanese style fast entries, like snappy transitions, stuff like that. And we were talking about this clip that someone posted of them just kind of like, rolling on power and like drifting an on ramp.
Yeah.
Right? Very slight, nothing like crazy, nothing, to you and me, it would just be like, I mean,
oh yeah.
Well, you.
Yeah. So,
you just powered over. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And he's like, why does this have 1 million views? Like, what is it that draws people in? And I'm like, I had to think about it. I was really perplexed, and I was like, yeah, why is like a gnarly clip of like me or one of my friends, not me, like one of my friends, or like so I'm like, why is a gnarly clip like not blown up? Or even Blake, right? Like Blake does some cool shit, right? And I think when you see stuff on the street, it makes things relatable, right? And that's kind of what you're doing, right? Like if you see something on the street, somebody and what made me realize it was I took my little brother drifting.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it like I did it when he was way younger, and then recently.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, that was crazy, blah blah. And I like taught him how to do donuts in my car and stuff. Like he doesn't even know how to drive stick.
Yeah.
But I reversed down the street like a long twisty road, and then like backed into a parking spot. And he was like, what the fuck was that? How did you do that? And I'm like, dude, I took you drifting. Like, this is nothing. Like, drifting
Yeah,
is
yeah,
way
yeah.
harder than that. And I think it's just like when you're on a track in a car that looks like it's meant to drift, and like it just it's not like it's not relatable. And
Yeah.
I think the things that like work, and that's the thing, like why I'm happy that your stuff is kind of like approaching the masses is it's good driving
Oh,
that's
thanks, man.
relatable. Yeah, it's like good driving that's relatable. Like you're showing the technique and you're making it relatable to those people who like maybe don't understand the differences,
Right,
and
right.
that's important. And so like it's it's challenging when you're like a jaded dude who's like been who's seen drifting forever, right? Like it's hard to go back to that mindset of like, oh well, that's a professional. Same thing you were saying, like at Ebisu, like
Yeah.
only people who drift are professionals there, and like because look at all these people that like none of these people are practicing. Like look at this driving, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I just and so that I made that video with like the explanations on it, like copying
Yeah,
you essentially, and I was like,
yeah.
dude, that's a great idea. Like tell people what you're doing, and it makes it more relatable, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
even if you're just I don't know, it's a genius, but
Oh, thanks for
yeah,
it's so funny because the video of mine that blew up with the writing on it is such a bad run. It's so
yeah,
bad. It was a throwaway run at best. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
everyone's gonna think I can't drive. Like, I had bow tires. The track was patchy. I was like, I'm just gonna just handbrake. Like, I want to do one more before I go in. Like,
yeah,
and that's the one that blew up. And I'm like, oh, come on! I've got like massive angle ones that don't even like. Come on! I think that video now has got like maybe 30 million views, which is insane to think about. Like, that's just
yeah,
crazy. It propelled my page from 28K to 96K now. Like, that's just like exponential growth. That's just I'm so humbled by it. I'm just so thankful to everyone. Like, it's crazy, man.
yeah. I mean, but like I think I don't know. There's in this drifting thing, like we all have that same mindset. Like you were talking about, like you want to turn this into something that's sustainable, right? Like we all
Yeah.
do. Like and it sucks because I wish it wasn't like that. Like I wish just I wish everybody could do the sport and it didn't cost any money,
For
and
real.
like you know cars where you just oh I need another one, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Like, it was like what 15 years ago or something. It's easy. Just like, yeah. I'm just gonna get one of those. Like,
yeah, I mean I think I think what you're doing is good because it's like it's giving back, and it's also going to like set you up for that, right? Like I think that's what we're all kind of trying to figure out. It's like how do you like turn this into something sustainable without being cringy or
yeah.
you know like putting yourself in like a weird position. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but
I
I think you're onto
I get what you're
something.
saying.
I
Yeah.
think you're onto something, and it's like it's refreshing because it's like a new spin instead of just like some like look at me like talking at people or you know bashing stuff to like
Right.
get some I don't know what I'm saying, but
No. I get what you're saying. Like, there are a lot of different ways people can do things, and I guess you find it refreshing that someone's just trying to do it on the straight and narrow. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's because it's it's fucking hard. It's hard to
yeah,
do that.
man, for real. Like, like I can only manage to do one YouTube video a week and like one Instagram post a day, along with my full-time job and trying to do like the merch and stuff as well. Like, and also spend time with my girlfriend and enjoy Japan while I'm here. Like, I'm
Yeah.
lucky that she's away at the beach this weekend, so I had time to like come and do this interview. Like, so yeah, man, it is difficult, and I hope it pays off in the future, and I hope I can continue to just keep doing things that for people to make it relatable and just so people can get into it and interested in just yeah, drifting's awesome, and I'd love to share those good vibes with everyone.
Did you ever think that maybe your video will be that video that you saw for somebody else?
No, definitely not. Like, not like that. I thought honestly, I thought that maybe once I started doing really good tandems,
Yeah.
that's when maybe my videos would be like, oh yeah, sweet. Now my videos would do well. Like, I thought,
You know what's crazy though is tandems aren't relatable.
mm,
Tandems aren't relatable because that is like impossible to comprehend for like the vast majority of people who don't know anything about drifting, right?
yeah,
Like they see it and it looks cool, but they're like, how, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's just
exactly.
like, it's like this. I don't know, it's like, oh, those are professionals. You know, it's just that same mindset. It's like, oh, I could never do that. Those are paid pros. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
it's
the only way that it can be relatable is, I think I've had some comments, people saying it's really awesome that, like, I don't shy away from posting my bad runs. I don't shy away from posting my spins, my crashes when I break things. Like, I don't shy away from that, like, because that's what
yeah. I think
happens.
that's super important, man. Like,
Yeah.
not to take shit too seriously. Like, we all fuck up. We all crash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, trust me.
Like, I've written off a JZX. Like, there you go. Like, I'm not afraid to say it. Like, it happened. It was a very, very sad time for me. Like, but it's happened, and I crashed my S14 like 4 or 5 times. There's like a photo of me crashed on toge like this, and I'm sitting on the hood of the car. Like, it happens, you know. And I think the only way that you can make the really good things still be relatable is if you make people relate those good things to you. So people have said,
Mm,
like, oh, it's awesome to see your progress that you're making. So I'm hoping once I do get to that stage where I can throw down really good tandems, or I'm on someone's door, people will be relating to me and the work and effort that I've put in to get here, and being like, oh, see, he went, like, go back to his page 6 months or 8 months and look where he started to where he's at now. If he can
yeah.
do it, I can do it. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I think that's good. I think that's good. Yeah, like I've been trying to do that too. I actually, what's funny is I recorded this video. I had like a bunch of GoPro clips, and I recorded me like doing like a voiceover, essentially, like explaining some like tandem stuff. And I
Oh,
didn't put
cool.
it out. I didn't put it out because I was like, man, no one's gonna watch this. This is corny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should have just put like seeing how happy people are to see like breakdowns of real driving. Like, you know, you
Mm.
can watch like a Seto or whatever, and like you can see like what the pedals and shit do, but like I think people's breakdowns of like real driving, like, I messed up here, like I want to put up, I don't know, like I think we gotta bring everybody up, man. Like, that's
Yeah, man.
the goal. Like, the more people that learn these techniques, like, the better the driving will get, and the more it'll push everybody else, and the sooner I'm going to be washed up, you know.
Yeah, but then you can be the senpai, like the OG, teaching everyone all the things. Like, yeah, I've taught you all you know, but not everything that I know.
Yeah.
You're just there on your castle. It's like, yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry. Like,
Yeah, like what's, I mean, okay, so what's like the level of like the typical, like, well, okay, so the coolest thing that I saw when I went to Ebisu was
yeah,
this S15 Minami jump drift, like full throttle limiter, like must have been like a 500 horsepower SR, like
yeah,
just insane run, like beautiful, right? Not the
yeah,
coolest looking car ever, like definitely I've never seen it before.
right,
3 of those runs all in a row. And I watched like some Australian dudes were there, and some like UK guys were there, and they were driving sick, but it was nothing like this, right? Like,
yeah,
so I go over to the pits, and I see the guy jump out, and he's like gray hair, like gotta be like 50 plus years old, with like a
yeah,
belly, and his like wife and his kids there. And you're just like, oh God, like I suck. Like this like old dad is like way better than I've ever like thought I could ever be. And it's like some dude, and he's got like, you know, like a couple sponsors on his car, and like, you know,
yeah.
he probably does, you know, he probably did lights, like, or, you know, street legal, like back in
Oh,
the
yeah, back in the
day
day,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something, you know. It's like, and you're just like, fuck, man, like, I don't know, like, what are you chasing that ability like at Ebisu? Is it like, are there that many people out there that are of that skill? Like, I don't know. I guess, like, what's the percentage of just like mind blowing people that you've never seen before? Because that's usually how I feel when I come back from Japan. I'm like, oh, there's like 1,000 drivers that are better than me.
Oh man, it's funny you say that. Like, so at every Matsuri, there are always these 3 NA Sylvias that go into Minami, and they drift the whole thing. They hit the jump, they go in, they do the whole in the dry. These guys are carrying so much speed, so much momentum, and they're just 3. I can't remember how old they are, because it's really hard to tell sometimes. Like, but
Yeah.
they're grown men. I think one's a woman. I think it's 2 men and a woman, and all they do is they just go, all three of them, like the three cars are battered up, like, but they just free them together, all jump, all go, like, and it's like, wow, I'm having trouble in a turbo and they're just doing that in NA like it's no one's business. Like there are so many like legends that have not been like unearthed that just go and drive at Ebisu. There's a dude who takes a JZX 90 Chaser, I think it is, on North Course. It has big silver fenders in the front, headlights look like a Camaro. They're like square headlights, and he does 360 entries on North Course. He'll just go and 360 and just go, or he'll do like massive backies and just go. Or there's a young kid, his name is Sho Saito. He's actually in Formula Drift Japan too. He's 23 years old. This guy's amazing. Like Andy told me to go drift with him if I want to get better. So I've known him for like 6 years. We used to drift back in the day with my S14. We actually had a crash back in the day, but so now it's time to redeem it. But he's an amazing driver who's just started to like be recognized properly. But there are so many drivers out there that you can just sit back and watch. If you go to like, there was a recent event on at Minami, like the old, I think they call it the Old Guys Farewell event. It was hosted by Ikaten. I think Option were there to film and stuff, and there were cars that I had never seen before, like from old school Gs, like OGs, like 50 years old plus that you said, and some of the new school guys who were all just hitting Minami, hitting the jump, pouring rain, going, just non-stop. And you're just there like, see, that there is so much that we don't even know. Like, there's that, and like a lot of them, they don't have Instagram. Like, I've taken photos of cars or drivers and stuff, and people are like, oh, tag the Instagram. I'm like, they don't have one. Like they just straight up don't have one. They might have a Twitter, but it's all in Japanese. Like good luck figuring that out. Or they'll have Line, and it's like, well, you're not going to add them on Line, are you? Like, and that's it. Like, like, and that's it. Like, it's wild. Like, and that's one of the things that I appreciate, and I'm privileged to just be able to just go to Ebisu and just sit there and just hang out and then just watch people just do it. And like I'm always picking up tips and looking at them like, okay, he does that there or she does that there, and then why are they doing that, or even I can just go watch Andy do it. Like there's a video that I have that Naoki Nakamura Technique Study sent me, of Andy more or less hitting 100-point run on Minami way back in the day. I spoke to him about it. It's a JZX 90 Mark II silver with red front fenders and a red hood, and he had part worn semis on the back. I think they were 265, and he hits the jump massive, goes right next to the wall. Then he gets towards the end of the curvature of the track, and he hits the foot brake and the handbrake, and you can see his car in a straight line just shoot towards the judge's stand, and he smashes it the whole way around, and it's like an amazing 100-point, 99-point run. And it's just like, yeah, there are so many different levels to this. Like, there are just so many different levels to this. Like, and I guess I'm just trying to get as good as I can while I can, like, and just be able to take that and stop any barriers for any other people. Like, I will happily take anyone out on any track. Like, just jump in my car. I got a cage, like I said, a bucket seat, so you're safe. Like, safety is my priority, and if it's my priority, then you know you'll be safe as well. Like, some of these cars they don't have a lot of things. Like, I remember Daigo took a passenger out on Minami. I'm sure people have seen the video. And this JZX 90 Mark II with no cage, stock passenger seat. I think he hit the jump. The passenger seat broke in half or something, like, and the passenger's there, like, laying down, like, so it can get a bit wild. And like, I'm not saying anything bad against them. I'm just saying there are different levels to this, and I like to try to be safe.
they got in the car, you know.
Yeah.
I got in the car with Naoki, and we got in with no seatbelt. So, you know,
it's like, oh yeah. It's like, if I go, I go, you know.
Yeah, like this is not an experience that I'm not gonna have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, if
it's wild.
Yeah, coming down the front straight, you're like, if I died this way, yeah. in the last time we were there, the car Julian bought, we like. Anyway, it was the passenger seat was in the car, you know, but like we didn't have time to put a seatbelt on the passenger side, so like we're going down the front straight at Mahon, and I'm holding like there's a video of it. I'm holding the roll bar.
Oh,
like this,
yeah.
And the whole time in my head, I'm like, okay, if we roll, I gotta like pull my hands away, because like if we roll, like my fingers are the roof, and my fingers are like, I'm like. but it was worth it.
Yeah. It's always good when nothing happens. It's like worth it, but
Yeah, like not everyone would get in the car to go drifting with somebody, even with like a safe car. And then there's, I guess, people who are idiots like me.
I would do it. So
yeah, man, it's like one of those things. It's like you got on the plane, you went all the way out there, like you figured out how to get to the track, and if someone's like, "Hey, get in the car," like you're already like you're like whatever, like we're here. This is
for
like
real.
I don't fucking care. Yeah.
In for a penny, in for a pound. But...
yeah, and luckily nothing bad happened. But
yeah.
You only get so many of those, I guess.
Like God's up there, like, okay, so that's one down. Like, no, I think he's got about two more. Yeah, we happy with that? Yeah, okay, sweet. Yeah, all
right. Yeah, I feel like us in drifting are like getting those crossed off pretty quick. They're like
for real.
They're like, okay, you're working on backies all day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're progressing too well. Let me just throw in a bad run there. There you go. Like, like break your wheel speed sensor. There you go. Okay, nice. Yeah. So now you don't know how fast you're going. Okay.
Oh man. Yeah. What so you're doing, you always had a two-way, I'm sure, right? Like, because that's like,
it was welded to begin with.
Oh, it was welded before. So so you're on a two-way now.
Yes, and I'm so excited for it. Yeah, it was welded before. So yeah.
I'm really curious to see what you think of that, like how it's going to affect technique and stuff, because all I hear is good things, but it's usually people that have driven two-ways for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they try a welded and they're like, I don't like it. So like I feel like there's still some back and forth. Like I feel like some people are like, two-way is the only way. I'm currently welded. I've had a two-way in the past, but it was I think it, like I bought a used one that was, I think, not very happy.
Yep.
So I don't think my experience was the best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm on the fence. Like I'm trying to decide right now. I have a spare diff and I'm like, do I go two-way? Do I spend the money? No,
I hear you, man. Like, and they're not cheap. Like, welded is such a cheaper option. You just kind of, this diff's like sweet. Let's go. Like, let's go drive. Like, So I can already think of certain areas where it'll help me. There are some times where I felt the rear end of the car binding on certain corners where it was like it felt really stiff and rigid and unhappy at how I flicked the car through no fault of my own. It just for some reason didn't like it, and so I'd have to like either give it a clutch kick or give it a little bit of gas to keep going, or just like weather through that part. And I think I'm pretty excited for the speed it should gain me through intricate corners, because I can now play with the clutch as well to lock and unlock the diff to go faster in the dry and the wet. But it'll be interesting to see how I do backies, because what I used to do is everyone always goes like, do the backie and then just wait. But the way that I did it to make my car go faster is I'd actually keep my foot on the clutch to keep the power disengaged from the rear to help the wheels spin faster, I guess, going backwards or whatever. So I know I might have to change that sort of technique of a
interesting. That's funny, because I had a limited. I borrowed a limited at a comp.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the comp, like it was just fun runs or whatever, and some dude's like, "Let me see it backy," and I was like, "All right." And I went out and I tried it. I was like, I can't fucking do it. like what?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about, as soon as I clutch in and throw the wheel, the diff unlocks.
Yeah. So that should be interesting,
because you'd clutch in and it would stop rotating.
Yeah,
like it wouldn't like continue to like slide back. Okay, all right.
So I'm hoping it's not too much of a learning curve, but because we're having a massive Ebisu day on September 19th. Myself, loads of other foreigner drifters, like Samit, for example, and like a couple of like Show, or some of my friends, Rahab, the Doink Squad guys from the States. Like some of the base guys are coming up from like Misawa base and like down in like Yokosuka and Yokota base. They'll be coming, and some of the local guys around my area will be coming up as well. So it should maybe like 15 cars, 20 cars. So we're gonna have a massive day then. So I want to be able to practice with that new diff prior to that, so I can at least not mess up in like a train or tandems or something. But it'll be interesting. Like,
I feel like it's a technique I should learn. I've driven plenty of cars that have them. I just haven't like tried to do back ease with it. And it's like it's always different when it's your car.
for sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
For sure.
I feel like I should get one and just be like, all right, this is the wall that I'm gonna bring both today.
Yeah.
And like,
In the
I'm
back.
gonna switch back and forth and see.
Well, hey, a skill that I've never learned is how to left foot brake. I don't left foot brake because I don't know how to do it. I've
It's
never tried it before. But
it's not. I learned it playing Assetto.
Yep.
And then I tried to use it in the real world, and then I realized that it didn't do exactly the same thing in Assetto than it does in actual driving.
Right.
I haven't found a point in which I need it yet. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense? Like,
Yeah, makes sense.
I think it really depends on the type of car.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a crazy high horsepower build and you need to like I don't know. Yeah. Like if you watch like RDS or like any like Japanese drifting competition, like there's almost no left foot braking, but like the US has a ton of it, right? Like that's like the thing that everyone does. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like it's very opinion heavy. But I would say if you're driving in Japan, you don't need to do it because no one else does it. Like if you're following someone who's left foot braking, you have to left foot brake. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, because
Like,
you want to be the same as them, like in terms of the way the speed of the vehicle and everything.
yeah,
And you have
like
to anticipate their moves.
it's impossible to check up on somebody.
Yeah.
When they're left foot braking because they're like slowing down while they're drifting, and you're like you can't like surge and check up and surge and check up. Like you can't hang there with them. Like you have to just do what they're doing. I think that's the problem, or the reason why people do it. I don't know.
Right. I hear you. I've never felt myself needing to do it, and I don't really want to buy loads of brake pads, I guess, too. So.
It's not like I don't know. Do you use foot brake when you're working on like backwards entries? Do you use? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure if that's. I feel like it's necessary because you have to slow down the front of the car to get it to reverse.
I usually use the foot brake at the moment of my flick, especially with a JZX chassis because it's heavier than like lighter.
And they're
chassis.
long.
Yeah.
They're super long wheelbase.
Exactly. You just like throw the weight of the car towards the front wheels so that the back's lighter and can transition. So like I would usually clutch kick, spin the wheel, spin it back, quick little dab of the foot brake, then like dab of the handbrake when I want to slow down the rotation, then change down gear and then just wait and then get back on it and go around the corner.
Yeah. And so you're saying when you go to the two-way, you can't clutch it and wait and play with the throttle. You leave it on throttle, but just let off throttle while you're sliding. Or like do you load like a little bit?
From what I'm thinking, I think I'm just gonna have to so clutch in, entry, handbrake, change down gear, let go of the clutch and just let the car coast, and then when I get to the close to a point where I want to get back on the gas, then clutch back in, then like not even clutch kick, just put the clutch in, build the revs up, then dump it. Like so like but it's gonna be like it's really weird. I feel like it's easier now because I can just put my foot on the clutch and just wait and then give it gas, then go. Where now it's like entry, clutch out, wait, clutch back in, gas, go. Like it's like an extra step involved. Hopefully it comes out to be faster or cleaner, but we'll see.
I didn't think about them needing to stay locked for the car to keep rotating and dead sliding. I didn't think about that. I wonder.
But I guess we'll see. Like I could be wrong.
It might not affect it that much, but I am curious. Please report back.
Yes, for sure. I definitely will. Yeah. I'll make a comparison I'm interested to see it. The last time I had a two-way was in my S14, but I can't remember that. Plus, that was my cookie cutter years. Like, there's no way I could even tell you what it did. You know, so it'll be interesting, like to see it. But like from James, the PV mechanic, and Andy, they're like, your last step you need for your car is more or less a two-way. You don't need a power C because your car boosts at 0.9 bar. Like I don't have a boost controller on nothing. It just boosts at that. It's a really happy engine. So like, so
Yeah.
you're getting the power of C, because all we do is put a 1 bar boost in, like a 1 bar map. So it's like you're 0.1 away. What's the point? So just put the two-way in, then you should be all good to go with that car.
Gotta love Toyota Motors, man.
For real. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Like let me drive like an entire event with like a bad math. It was slow, but I just aired the tires up a bunch and like I still got to drive, like anything else would be like whatever. I'm a little bit of a Toyota fanboy at heart, I'm not gonna lie.
Same. All I want a JZX is in my future.
Man.
Oh man.
So okay. So you mentioned that you pretty much have power vehicles like maintain your cars. Has that been a challenge? Because you like, are you not super mechanically inclined, or like have you just not had any space to like learn how to work on cars, or like what do you think? Like, I could see that being challenging. Like, and is that like a goal for you to learn like the mechanic side a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of mechanically minded, I'm not super mechanically minded. I'm more of a technology kind of person. Like I love doing computer stuff, as opposed to mechanical stuff. Coming from London, UK, like we don't have a garage. We don't really have space to work on things. So it was just more of a theory based. Like I'm great with numbers and accounting and stuff like that, but in terms of using my hands and whatnot, like my girl's better than me at like woodwork, for example. Like she's Kiwi, so she can like make things, and she's way better than me and stuff like that. Like I measure something and I ask her to double check for me. Like,
it's messed up that you say that, because like out of all the people I know from New Zealand, they like all build crazy shit.
yeah.
Like the C's guys.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Adam and Joel, like they make like the coolest stuff. And then Ruben, like where he like has like a company, they make like
for like the beds of utes
and stuff,
right?
Yeah, of course. I'm like, I don't know, just everybody out there is like, and anyway.
Yeah, no, they're awesome.
Everyone I met on that trip like
yeah
knows how to build cool shit.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my girl is better at those sort of things than I am because she's Kiwi, and so I'm not super mechanically minded. When I was in New Zealand, I had the chance to like use the hoist at Genesis Massive and like work on my car. Like I stripped the interior of my Crash JZX and swapped it with the interior of my new shell and did all of that, and I helped with like installing the coilovers and stuff like that. But it takes me a very long time to do it. Like I'm not gonna lie to anyone. Like I'm not good at those things. I'd love to get better at it. Having power vehicles maintain my car is a godsend. Like there is no way I'll be able to do as much driving if I had to maintain it myself. It's just not possible.
It's cool. It's like kind of refreshing to hear that they're not like, oh yeah, man, you need a bigger turbo and you need this and that. Like they're like, no, your motor is fine. Like you just need a two-way and that's it. Like and like obviously it's in their financial like mind to maybe sell you something you don't need, but it's like I said, it's like refreshing to know that they're just like, no, this is all you need to go drive. Like, and that's
for sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Like Andy, if I'm sitting there like having a break on my phone or something, he'll just come in, he'll just like knock on my window and be like, "What are you doing? Go drive." I was like, "I'm just taking a little break." He's like, "Did you come in to take a break? Go drive." So like it's awesome. Like he just keeps telling me, he's like, "Go drive, and once you get better, I'll come and drive with you." So that's been like another goal I've been working towards. Is like I've been trying to get better and better, and then show him the videos. He's like, "Okay, yeah, sweet, I'll grab my car now." And it's like he's chased me once. No, he's chased me one day. It was a year ago. It was like a week after I broke. Sorry, go on.
Were you nervous?
I was bricking it so hard. Oh my god, I was bricking it so hard. My mind was like, "Don't spin, don't spin, don't spin, don't spin, don't spin." So, like a year ago, I broke my collarbone in like a bicycle accident, but I didn't realize it was broken for a month. I must have a very high pain tolerance. I don't know. And I went to Ebisu drifting like 2 weeks later after the break. And we were doing the Nishi short, which is the Nishi trains course, but we were doing it in reverse, which I've never done before. So we were starting from the bottom and then drifting up in reverse, and it was super raining. And then Andy was like, "Sweet, I'm gonna follow you." And I'm like, no, my shoulder hurts. Like, my car's still got the misfire. Like, my still got the bad coilovers in. Like, I'm just out here trying to have a good time and not spin. Like, I've never done this track before. It's super raining. Like, he's like, no, don't worry. I know you're gonna spin like 20 seconds before you know you're gonna spin. I was like, okay. So then I'm going for it, trying it, and this man is just on my door, like just like pressuring me the whole time, like both sides. Like, my girlfriend's in the car with me, and she's just there, like, yeah, he's right there. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to hit that right now. I just need to stay on my drive.
like there are things that I don't need to know these are things that I know currently. Let's not add that to my thing.
For
that
real.
I need. Yeah.
Like, I could hear him. I could hear his, like, I think he's got a T67 in his practice car. I could hear right here, and I'm like, okay. And then he let me chase him afterwards, and that was great. I didn't get super close, but like, I'm chasing Andy Gray. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And so he was like, get better, and then we'll go for much faster entries. And he was trying to help me out to do Manami. He's like, wait for it to rain for Manami. That's the best time to try it, because it's a lot of slow motion, so you can keep starting back and back and back. He's like, you don't need to actually hit the jump and bounce your car. You can go around, like drift around the jump. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it only becomes a jump if you go fast enough. Like, otherwise it's just a little bump. Like,
that's interesting that he said that it's the easiest in the rain, but I can see that
it's a lot
because
slower.
it's one of those it's one of those things where you have to carry so much momentum to like make it to the bottom, and like downhill drifting, obviously, like you can't lift.
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah,
it's a lot easier to not lift in the rain.
For real. And he's like, if you want to do it in the dry, air up your tires to higher than what you have for North Course or higher than you normally have, because you need, especially in a stock car, you need all that momentum to take you like, if you want to get a proper line which takes you out to the grandstand, you got to keep the speed the whole way down. Like, so hopefully when my diff is fixed in, you know, like a week or 2 weeks, I'll go back up and do some more Manami, and hopefully nothing happens. So it'll be good.
Are you like, do they have like competitions at Ebisu, like small ones, or like, I don't know, like obviously there's lights, but like, that's like, it's seen people that I've seen drive insane, like just barely qualify in lights. I'm like, okay, like that's never a chance for me. Yeah. I'm like, not a
it's like,
not a
skill
shot.
level, the skill gap. There is there's EDS, which is the Ebisu Drift Series, which is held by Ebisu Circuit, and you drift on Nishi Long, which is the FD Japan layout, and then you do Nishi Short Long, which is similar to the Matsuri layout, where you come over the hill, the crest, but instead of cutting on the inside, you drift along the outside and come the whole way down. That's in my personal opinion, the funnest track in all of Ebisu is that one there, and then Manami too. But I'm not sure how that's going to change with Manami closing at the end of the year. But yeah, that's what I want to do next. I missed the first round. The second round's on Manami, but I don't know when it is. It shouldn't be too far in the future, I don't think. So I'd love to try that. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
are you like
awesome?
Yeah, like, is your goal to compete, or are you just trying to like get better and have fun doing it? Like, I don't know. Everyone's got kind of a different goal with drifting. For me, for the longest time, I didn't do comps because I kind of felt like they were like contradictory to like what I wanted out of drifting. But like now, as I'm older, I'm like, I don't know, it could be fun. Like, maybe I won't be so critical and like hard on myself if I fuck up. Like, I can just go and be like, it's whatever.
Right.
So like now I'm kind of like, I'm doing them when I can or whatever. I don't know, but it's some people, that's like the goal. Like, I want to be a professional drifter. I want to win trophies and stuff. Like, where do you stand there?
Well, for me, I would love to do, like, I'm just trying to drift to get better because it's super fun and awesome. But I'd love to do some sort of comps. I would, at the moment, I don't have any sort of plans to try push for the top level comp. I'd love to go for something like EDS or D1 lights. Like, I'd love to go to like a feeder series, because I think that'll be the most competitive and most fun, with like a range of like young and upcoming drivers, and being a black dude from London, I think it'd be pretty cool. Like, especially if I ever win around, to just be like, I did it, you know,
Yeah.
like, so that would be pretty cool and awesome. And hopefully it'll give like the motivation to people out there who are of color, or just anyone who just wants to do it, period. Like, hey, it's not foreign for us to do it. Like, because when I was young, I wanted to be I wanted to be an F1 driver, the first black F1 driver, but I guess Lewis Hamilton beat me to that. So I'm like, well, I can do drifting.
Yeah. Yeah, his legacy is going to be tough to beat too.
For real.
Now he's not only the first black F1 driver, he's like the first like black F1 like world champion / like the most world championships / like I think he's won the most races now too. Like he's just like any like
accolade. He's just trying to get
he's just unlocking achievements left and right.
For real, his Xbox game score must be wild.
Oh man, yeah. I was talking to somebody about that the other day too. I was like, man, I always wanted to be a race car driver when I was younger. Like that was like my thing, and for a while I was like, well, that dream is gone. Like that ship sailed. And then I like was thinking about the other day. I was like, I mean, I'm like kind of a race car. I'm not like good, you know. I'm not like a world champion, but like I'm doing what I said I wanted to do. And it's maybe not, you know, when you're a kid, you only see F1. You don't know, like, you know, you might watch like British touring cars. Like I actually wanted to drive British touring cars when I was a kid. Like, or like DTM, that like whole like era of cars, like, and racing was wild, like right? The shit. Yeah. Like, I wanted that. Like all the cars look super cool. And they're like, again, it's like relatable, you know, anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
And I like have one of the cars from that era, and I like don't race it because I'm not, you know, that's complicated, but like at least I have drifting, you know. Like,
yeah, man, for real. Like I think it's difficult to see the forest through the trees because we're in it.
Yeah.
Like and we're out here and we're doing it, and there's gonna come a time in like 5-10 years where we're gonna think back on it and be like, oh, you know what? We were actually out here doing it. Like we were like we were here doing it before it became super inaccessible, and we don't even know the amount of effect we've had on, you know, the younger generation who are watching us and trying to get into the sport, and they see something that's super relatable. They see someone that's out there doing it, and they think, oh, yo, like I can do that as well. Like, you know, so it's wild, and it's like easy for us to just forget and just think, oh man, I need to do this. But then when you take a step back, it's like, no, I am doing it, and I'm doing great.
Yeah, I don't know how inspiring. It's like when you get to that, I don't know, when you get to the point of having like car with the livery and all that stuff, like I don't know how inspiring it is to people who are like getting into it, but I think it is like still cool because people who haven't found it yet might see it, or like, you know, the younger kids, like I feel like the younger kids love the like super liveried out cars with like, you know, I can't remember. I was like outside of my friend's house or something, and this like kid came up and was like, is that a Hot Wheels? Like some little kid, and I was just like, dude, it like melted my heart, you know. Like I'm like, I was you, like I was you. I know exactly how that feels, you know. Like imagine being you, like at like 5 years old and walking up and seeing like, you know, you driving your car and being and like getting a ride along or whatever, you know. It's just like,
it's insane, isn't it? It's crazy that we've become those guys that we looked at back in the day, and it's like, oh, yo, that's mad.
Yeah. And even if we're cool, just doing it on like whatever scale we're doing it on, it's still like, yeah, you gotta, I guess that lesson is no matter what level you're doing it on, at least you're doing it, you know.
For real, you're doing it. Like, and like I have a problem with that sometimes. My girl always checks me. Like that's how I know I'll never let this stuff go to my head, because she checks me more than anyone else. Like, no, she checks more than anyone else. Like I love to respond to messages, and if anyone asks to reach out and collab, whatever, I'm always 100% down to do it. Like, but like my friends and my girl keep me 100% humble. Like, and it's refreshing and it's nice to like have that sort of thing. Like,
Yeah, my girlfriend loves to roast me about like, like get off your
for,
phone. Like no one even cares, you know?
for real. Like I
You're like,
because
oh, you're gonna post another picture of your car. You're like, come on.
it's like, hey, leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone. Because I told her that I'm not gonna, because she's away. So I told her I'm not gonna be on my phone for some time because I got this interview. She's like, oh, Mr. Famous here. I'm like, listen, leave me alone.
You gotta, you gotta have those people in your life.
100%, man.
Yeah,
100%.
you gotta have those people in your life that like roast you.
For real. For real.
Like, what do you think this is? Like,
It's like, I knew you when you were nothing.
and
Nothing.
you're
Don't you forget that.
and you're still nothing. You're like, no.
It's like, yeah, well, my fans don't think so. Do they live with you? Like, do they cook you dinner sometimes? You know, like, do they let you drive your car to go? We say, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like they don't see you in there cleaning the bathroom, you know? Like,
For real, for real.
I always like, yeah, every time I go to the laundromat or whatever, like I'm doing some like domestic shit, I always like try and post that on IG, just like let people know, like, hey man, I'm not rich, like I still go to the laundromat, like, you know,
Yeah,
like I gotta go to work, and you know, like
for real. Yeah.
sometimes my credit card bill gets real high, like that's just how it goes, you know?
Oh man, so funny.
It's
Sometimes
like,
people think that like that we don't have to do those things. Like,
yeah,
and it's like, no man, like I still go to work like every day at the school. Like I try to take stories of me in my like work uniform and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to school, teach these snot-nosed kids ABCs. Let's go. Like, I'm just a
yeah,
regular dude. Like,
yeah. I was, yeah, so when I was like checking out your stuff pretty much like when we were talking about doing this, and
yeah,
I came across your videos from Tokyo Auto Salon where you're going around, uh I think it was just called like the story
Virgin
was
Hunters.
was just called Virgin Hunters, and you were like going around finding the like funniest dudes who just went there to take pictures of like the booth models.
Yeah.
I was I was I was like, all right, I like this guy. I was like, this dude's funny. Okay, like, because like,
Man.
oh man, that whole thing was had me fucking dying, dude. Like the guys with the dude, and you know, like I know cameras, so like I know how much some of those cameras cost. Like the
Yeah,
like
yeah.
dude had like a 1D Mark X, you know.
Just trying to get like the thigh shot. It's like, oh yeah, look at that thigh. Like, oh, the complexion's amazing. Look at it. Like, and I'm just there like, damn, bro. There's something called the internet. Like, you can just say, no. But I took this photo. It's mine. Like, man.
there's a
Funny.
there's a fetish called GWC, guy with camera, and it's like yeah, it's I don't know if it's probably like global, but like I don't know what it's called in Japan. It's probably just
Right.
called being a photographer, but like it's like an actual fetish. Like prostitutes will have guys with like really nice camera gear, have them come over and like do like the whole thing, and they'll like do like a photo shoot with them, and then
Yeah.
like they'll just go home, like no anything after that. It's like a whole weird fetish. Guy with camera. It's like a thing.
Huh.
I don't know, but Japan has that shit bad.
Bro, Japan. I've never seen a country more thirsty than Japan in my life.
Why
Like,
is that?
I don't know. It's so I don't know. Like it's not just that they're so thirsty. It's that the thirst is encouraged. It's encouraged.
Interesting.
Like go on to like that's why you have girls bars like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like and I'm telling you right now, a girls bar will never work in a Western country. You will be closed within the first week because they go. You pay 5,000 yen for 90 minutes. You'll have one girl come over to your table and you'll just talk like we're talking now. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they'll get them to buy drinks and stuff, which are like highly inflated. Some maybe watered down. I don't know. I'm not speaking bad about any of them, but like and they at the end of the year, those people who go to the girls' bars will give those girls like presents or big bonuses. Or I was watching a video for one where it was a woman and she went to a boys bar, so same thing but reversed, and there was like these men who work there have certain sales targets that they have to hit for the week or for the month, and this girl was trying to buy more drinks to help him hit his target. So she bought like a 300,000 yen champagne bottle, so $3,000 or whatever. She doesn't even drink. She doesn't drink. She bought that so he's to help him be the number one of the club. Like, and I'm just like, why
What?
though? Like, yeah, exactly. So for her to do that, she had to go and find extra work and do questionable things. Like, I don't want to say it, but do questionable things. And I'm just like, for this dude who's just like no one to you, like, and like
Yeah,
if you go
that's
through like
crazy.
Japanese TikTok, because that's what I get on my phone, a girl or a woman will be there wearing some sort of dress which is trying to be sexy, but trying to be sexy and whatnot. And there'll be a TikTok song playing in the background, and she'll literally just go when the beat drops. That's it. She'll just stand there when the beat drops. 300,000 likes. She's verified everything. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how it is here. Like, and I just, but like, they can't speak to women normally. Like that's why because like Japan has a declining population.
Yeah.
More people are dying than are being born. Like, and like there are so many people who are in their 40s plus who aren't married. Like, so it's wild that the normal conversational, normal relationship sort of thing is like sparse or very difficult to find. But then you have people which are so thirsty to do things like buy a super expensive camera and zoom in on the thigh, or like go to girls' bars and stuff. It's wild, man. Like, I don't know. Like, it's very difficult for me with a Western mind to grasp it. Like, so they could have their reasons. It could be good for them, and I'm happy that they're doing it. They think that they're happy is all great for them. But it's just very difficult for us to grasp. Like,
yeah, usually when we're in Japan, we're staying in like Downtonbury and like Osaka.
Oh yeah.
So there's like a lot of that. Like, there's a girls' bar, host club, like, and then like everyone's out on the street and they're all like, you know, J-pop looking, like, you know, anime character looking guys, like, you know, it's so crazy. But hey, so I mean,
you do you know what I mean? Like, you do you. Like, it doesn't affect me that you guys won't ask me to go to the bar, so I'm like, sweet, do your thing. I'm here for the drifting.
yeah. Have you met friends out there that are like English speaking that are not there for drifting?
Well, I have, but they're there for cars. So like, luckily for my girlfriend in Utsunomiya, there's a Honda factory, and they bring over people from the States. So they do like an exchange for like 3 years where they'll work here, and they come over with their families and whatnot. So she's been able to go and make friends. So I've met them, and some of them aren't into drifting; they're just here, with just working for Honda. Some of them do like speedometers. Some of them do like, the new hybrid engines and stuff like that. So those people that aren't here for drifting, but they're into cars. And then there's the other section of people who are just here because they think Japan's the greatest place in the world. And everyone has an interesting story as to why they're in Japan. That's one thing I've realized. Everyone's got an interesting story as to why they're here in Japan, and they're just here because they love the culture and they love the way people do things, even if sometimes it can be very frustrating, but they still think it's the best thing ever. And they're not into drifting or driving, and they're just regular people. Like, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's a thing. But you know, you do you.
Yeah. So you said you're gonna move back to New Zealand in like
a
couple of years. Are you excited to get out of Japan, or are you like, I don't know? Do you? It's like it's a difficult question. I know.
It's a difficult question for sure, but it's like, I'm excited to move to New Zealand for all of the opportunities and all of the Western aspects of life that are reopened to me again. Like going shopping, I can go to one supermarket, yay! Like, we're done. Like, you know, getting a SIM card, sweet. Let me just fill out a form, sweet. Like, you know, getting a credit card, easy. So those sort of things, and being able to speak to people like in English, super easy, and it's very similar to like the UK in terms of life. The only thing that'd be a little bit sad is like having Ebisu circuit 2 hours down the road would be a little bit sad. But I'm hoping that by the time I move back, the current virus crisis has slowed down and I've been able to create a business for myself. I'm able to come back to Japan every month and drift. Like, and I'm very lucky that my girl is someone who understands that drifting in Japan is a big part of my life, and she supports me coming back to Japan every month for like a week or 2 weeks to do some driving and drifting, and because that's part of my business, and I guess now it's kind of ingrained into Milky Diamonds, like me, like that doing this
Yeah.
driving thing is what I want to do in my life. So if everything works out the way it should, I shouldn't miss out on much. I should only miss out on like those random events that pop up, which I've been to a few times, which are the reasons like I've been to Andy's house and we had barbecue there for my birthday, like
Hmm.
stuff like that's amazing. I mean, that's the stuff that like when you live somewhere you can do, or like random events at Ebisu. It's like, oh, Agent Case hosting an event, you should come down. Sweet, amazing. Or like
Hmm.
something at Nico. So I miss those things, but for the most part, I think it would be positive if the virus crisis gets all good. If it doesn't, then I'll be sad that I'm not driving as much. And I hope to drive in New Zealand at Hampton Downs and other stuff too, but I know it'll be a little bit different to Japan.
Yeah. I mean, at least you have, I feel like there's a decent amount of people in New Zealand who are trying their best to keep things exciting as far as like Japanese style driving and
Yeah, for sure.
cool entries. I mean, KSK does it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
His stuff's
All
so
of
sick.
them.
That SR2860 he's got is awesome.
Yeah. Have you met him when you were there? Or?
Yes, I met him. Yeah, I did meet him at a few like Mad Mike events at Hampton Downs, and I met the C's Garage boys and the D Club GP boys. Like I think I've met everyone more or less. So it's and they were all really nice. And they like brought me in, same as like with Genesis Massive and stuff. So I know all of them, and I used to do photos and photography and videos for everyone. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like there's things from back in New Zealand that people are like, oh, I didn't know you live in New Zealand. It's like, yeah, you just got to scroll down far enough and you'll find it. Like I used to like have my white Mark II of like BN front fenders and like these like fluorescent green raised gram lights wheels and all four, and it was super loud and it wasn't 100% legal, but like I never got stopped by the cops, so it was great. Like yeah,
Sick.
yeah, man, wild.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man.
Come out to Japan.
Yeah.
When this thing's over, come out to Japan. Hopefully, I'll still be here. Even if I'm not, I'll make sure to come out here and then we'll do some driving, bro. Like, you need to get in the
Yeah.
passenger seat, you need to get in the driver's seat. Like, I want you to experience that as well. It'd be so
I've-
sick.
Yeah, so those friends I was talking about, they still have a JZX at Ebisu. So like and they were talking about going back, and I'm like, oh please, I want to go on that trip. And then he was talking about I don't know. I want to drive Ebisu. I've been to Mahon a few times, but like driving Mahon in somebody else's car is like not something I won't like.
I
I'll
get
do
you.
it. I'll do it, but it's very hard to like. It's a commitment track. Like you have to commit, or you don't do the line. So it's like it's one of those things where I don't know. I'm scared to crash somebody else's car, especially if it's like my friend's car who lives in the States who has a car in Japan. And it's like
Yeah.
not quite as easy to just be like, yeah, man, I'll come over and help you fix it over the next couple of weekends. Like no big deal. Like
Yeah, exactly.
so. I would like to have a car in Japan someday. I don't know when that's going to be, but
If you ever hear through any sort of grapevine that somebody wants to sell a car at a Ebisu circuit, buy it straight away.
yeah,
Just no matter what, like if you can make it work, just make it work and buy it. Because from what we've seen around here, the likelihood of newer cars, when I say newer cars, I mean like JZXs that aren't Ebisu cars yet, getting
yeah,
into the Ebisu ecosystem, it's probably not going to happen. Like, so if there's someone who has an Ebisu car who wants to sell it, just buy it. Just literally just find a way and just buy it straight away. Like I think the cars that are at Ebisu are the ones that are going to stay there. And once those start to die off through crashes or people are exporting them,
they're
then it's
not.
going to be like they're not going to be replaced. I don't think.
Is that because they don't want to keep storing cars, or like what's?
Just too expensive. Just the barrier to entry for a JZX now is like you're looking at like 1.5 million for a stock one. You're gonna have to put at least another 500,000 into that to get it Ebisu ready. You need good coilovers. You need a cage. If you're going through power vehicles, you need a cage. You need bucket seats. You need harnesses.
Yeah,
Like you need all these little things. And by then you've almost got like a 2 million yen car. Like it's 20K. Like that. And Ebisu is not a forgiving track. Like
yeah,
you can destroy your car on any of the tracks. So
yeah,
that's what I mean by like the ones that are in the ecosystem, they're probably going to stay there. So they might start swapping hands a bit more. So if you can get in one of those, definitely buy one. Like even I'm looking for a second one just in case something happens to my JZX, like so.
yeah. I need to get a right hand.
Yeah.
I need to get a right hand drive car over here so I can start learning. But that's the one thing I thought about shipping a left hand drive car to Japan, just because
Oh yeah,
I'm not.
you're
I'm
not the
not.
first one to think that.
Yeah, I think Jason's gonna do that. Jason's actually building a S13. He's building a 240 to ship to Japan.
Cool.
Yeah, so that should be cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I I don't know when that's gonna happen or how long it's gonna be, but I definitely want to be in a position to be able to do that also. Because if those guys are going over as much, and it like turns into like a thing, like
You don't want to miss that.
they're
Yeah.
just gonna get better and better. Like it's just this chase. Like
Yeah.
I always get I got my car kind of like dialed and it was pretty quick at the last like couple events, and
Yeah.
Jason's like, I'm gonna have to raise my car, I'm gonna do this and that. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like I can finally keep up with you. I can finally like touch your car in tandem.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me, man. Like I just got here. Like
It's like, come on, like you know how hard I've been trying to do this, bro. Why you gotta do this to me for? Like,
yeah, it's like I just climbed to the top of this mountain and then he's like, all right, well,
I'm gonna go to that mountain over there. Like,
yeah. That wasn't the top. This is the top. You're like, fuck. And, yeah.
It's like, don't do this to me, man.
Yeah. So it's good. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I think well, yeah, I'm excited to see what you can do in this next little bit. I'm excited to see clutch type LSD and
Oh, thanks, bro.
how often do you drive? Are you going like more than
At the moment, I've been lucky enough that I'm able to go like every other weekend.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Yeah.
my girlfriend got me a gold card for my birthday. And a
Mhm.
gold card is like a yearly subscription or a yearly pass to Ebisu circuit, so I don't have to pay entry. I just pay my insurance fee for the day, which is just 500 yen, $5, and I can drift all the tracks. Like, so she got me that for my birthday. So I'm
That's
gonna put a ring on that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
for real. Like
I'm still
when
waiting.
she supports that
I'm
much.
still waiting for a gift like that. I mean, like, hey, what? It's been 6 years. Like, you don't want to help me out?
Yeah, man. The support
That's
has been wild. But
that's pretty cool.
yeah, man.
Was
Insane.
she into drifting? Like, how did you meet her through drifting? Like, how did that happen? No.
I met her through Tinder.
Okay.
That was it. Yeah, but then my first time ever using Tinder was in New Zealand. I didn't use it in the UK. My
Mhm.
first date was absolutely horrible. Horrible. Horrendous. It wasn't with her, it was with somebody else, but it was
Yeah.
horrendous.
I was gonna
Oh
say.
my god. It was, oh wow. And this is my first ever date like on Tinder, so I'm just like, this is what Tinder is, because I do not want to do this. Like, it was like I asked my friend if I can borrow his R32 GTR. I picked her up in that for the date, and I was like, yeah, sick. Like, I messaged her and I was like, oh, I don't know much. I had been in Auckland for like a week. Oh no,
Mhm.
for like a month, and I was like, oh, I want to go see some cool things tonight. Like, it doesn't have to be a date if you don't want it to be, but please just show me around. Like, tell me where to go. She's like, yeah, sweet, come pick me up. I was like, cool. Went and picked her up. Like, dressed up kind of nice. Like, went there. I got out of the car, waited outside the car. She came over. I was like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? She's like, no. The first alarm bell. Quick, get in the car before my dad sees me. And I'm like, okay, this is a bit of a problem, but whatever. Let's just continue driving. And I'm driving now, and then she's like, she brings out whiskey and coke can from her bag and like pops it open and starts drinking. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, do you
Mhm.
want? And she's like, do you want one? I'm like, I'm currently driving. Like, you can see me drive. No, I do not want one. Like, and yeah, the night just went downhill from there, and it was just not a good time. But then the second date was with my current girlfriend, and that was great, and it was a great time. And picked her up in asked my friend to borrow the R32 GTR again, and yeah, I guess the rest is history.
That's cool. Was she like into the car at all, or was that like the test?
Nah, no. So my test is usually when we're driving. I ask, "Do you want me to drive it like I stole it, or do you want me to drive like an old person?" So if they say old person, I'm just like, "Oh, this is a bit boring." But if they say like I stole it, I'm like, "Yeah, shift down to second, blah blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is great. I win." She didn't know much about cars back then, but she has become very good at it now, and she can tell the difference between all three JZXs, Mark II, Chaser, Cresta.
Mm.
Um, and 90 and 100 and 110. And if she's ever out driving by herself, she'll take photos of cool cars and send them to me on my phone. No, and then she'll tell me if I'm doing bad entries or good entries. So no, she's
That's
good
pretty
now.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, the only Tinder date I ever went on was with my current girlfriend, like
Oh, awesome.
over 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll check out Tinder, and then I was like, this app's fucking weird, and then we ended up meeting, and yeah, you know,
Hit it off, and yeah, awesome, man.
yeah, I didn't have a weird date where yeah, maybe never mind. There's like some
keep them
stories
records sealed, like.
yeah, there's just some stories you don't tell on here, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe that's
Uh,
for like when we turn the recording off. It's like, so what happened, bro?
Yeah,
Oh
man.
man.
Well, dude, I think we're like almost 2.5 hours.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm gonna go to sleep because it's late for me, and I
Yeah, I
got
can
work
imagine. What's
tomorrow.
like? Oh no, it's like what 11:30 for you, right?
Yeah, I'm like an old man now. Also, we got
Oh no, I feel that.
we have a puppy, and
Oh, cool.
he has to wake us up at 6:30 every morning. Every morning, 6:30, no matter what. Wakes us up. This is a true story. He wakes us up.
Yeah.
Make sure we're up. Like paw you in the face. Like
Yeah.
make sure you're up, and then he goes back to sleep. Every day.
Human.
Yeah.
You up? Good.
Yeah.
I run this place. What breed is it?
He's a Bernese Mountain Dog Poodle mix.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's like he's a lot bigger than we thought he was gonna be.
So, oh yeah,
dude, I love him. Anyway, his name's Bodie. He's pretty cool.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, dude, I appreciate you doing this. You're a legend. Thank you for coming on here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, bro. This is awesome. This is so sick. Like, I don't really get to do interviews much, so this is awesome. I appreciate it.
I feel like there's a lot more we could talk about too, but you know, sometimes it's better to do like a part 2 instead of just be like, so this like small detail. But
I'm down for a part 2 once everything gets going. Once I do more tandem drifting with show and my clutch, my LSD and stuff, I'm 100% down for a part 2. Let's do a part 2,
man.
3, 4, 5, whatever. I'm here for it.
I'm down to do like a check-in and like some time. See like kind of, I don't know, maybe like after some progression and like tandem and like maybe some of the things, because I do think that you're very good at like picking out small details that like not everyone might be able to like relay, I guess. So like that's super important. And I know I said that before, but I definitely think that's something people need to see or hear or whatever. So like as you progress, I'm definitely going to want to like at least have it vocalized, because the videos you're putting out are great, but like this stuff is good for people too, I think. So
yeah. Thanks, bruv. I appreciate it, my G. It's so sick.
Yeah, and I appreciate your offer. You letting me drive your car. I mean, what can I say, dude?
Yeah.
Like that's it's too nice.
Hey, I'm hoping by the time you get here, I'll have another one. We can do tandems.
Oh, okay. Don't get me too excited, man. Don't get me too excited.
Why not? What's wrong with getting excited? It's good vibes out here. Like, let's get excited. Like, I'm here to drift, to make everyone else drift as well. Like, that's the level I want to be. I want everyone to good vibes, drive together, and have all that stuff. So, like, we don't know where the future's gonna go, but we can hope it goes somewhere that we love, and hopefully it gets there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's do this while we can. You know.
For real.
Yeah, man. Anyway, thank you.
All right, G. Take care of yourself.